Bow, 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 bow. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of PWT Pro Wrestle Podcast. Yeah. And I'm here with my guy, Marty McFlyer. Then you, Grammy Award winner. This is the truth. Grammy Award winning songwriter. He's 1/3 of the
Sucio Boys Pod. Yeah.
Sucio Boys Pod. Make sure you go check that out at M_McFlyer than you on X. And I'm so happy to have this motherfucker here. But first, I gotta just plug the patrons really quick. Reggie Rodriguez, Mark U, the Mark Ashley V, Russ Paxton, Chris Killis, Cruz Madrid. Thank you all so much. Patreon, YouTube memberships. That's how you support the channel. Support what I do. You get more podcasts. You get more fun. As you guys know, I've been trying to bring more guests on the show and all that sort of stuff. So at Pro Wrestle Times everywhere on social media. At Pro Wrestle Clips is the Clips channel where the live show is going to start popping up more, and you're going to see Marty on that show as well. I'm certain of it. And I don't know, man. We can just jump right into the show without plugging all this stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Marty. My guy, a newly lamented, we don't got to talk too much about it, but a newly lamented Grammy Award winner. You were, I think, 6 times nominated previously, and now you're
six in total.
Yeah,
six
so
in
now
total.
you
2 last year, and then we had 4 this year.
Absolutely insane, man. That's phenomenal. Talk about that, man. Talk about that.
Let's see, 15 years of doing this. I didn't. It's a long road. As you know, dealing with it in some ways.
Yep.
Yeah, it took almost 14 years just to see 2 nods, because there's a lot of politicking and shady shit with numbers that we can't stand. And then this year, was working with my friend Victoria Mone. Check her stuff out. It's amazing. Jaguar 2. It's out. It's been out. You should, just tap in and vibe.
Yeah, exactly.
Tap in and vibe to that. So yeah, we won 2 awards for contributions to the album on that. So that was just crazy. And I think ever since it happened, it's just been chaos, but just trying to find some normalcy in between. Because usually I just want to go on Twitter and poke fun at the zealots and all the idiots that just say stupid shit and then claim to be objective but not be objective, and then have them argue opinions like they're facts. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's all subjective, bro. It is, man. And what when it comes to the songwriting, what are you more? You're a lyricist. You write the music. What is your forte?
So usually it just started. We do the music itself. So we're just writing the lyrics. A lot of the time, if I'm lucky, I'll get an idea what the beat is, and then it's also the structuring on, are we just doing songs? And then we have to go through the bullshit of, trying to go over publishing and figuring out splits and percentages and all that other unfun stuff. But bread and butter is we do a lot of like reference tracks and demos, because that's just a usual steady flow of income.
Yeah, that's what I used to do too.
Yeah, so yeah, we get those out, and then we're just doing a lot of music. I do some of the arrangements. Usually if there's a feature, I have to figure out a way to make it work, especially because a lot of the time the song there was no plan for that. Or anytime I'm asked to leave a verse open, I know that, okay, you want somebody in on this, and I'm going to have to figure out how it's going to work, because a lot of times they're just going to get a feature for someone they think, oh, it's hot right now, but how does it fit with this?
Yeah.
Okay, regardless. Okay, am I giving a percentage out of this? Like, we got to figure this out, because this wasn't part of the original setup. And then usually, I'm a fair guy, because you don't want to just keep all the percentages to yourself. You want to spread it out, but I'm also not trying to give it to people who don't deserve it.
Yep.
Like you came in with a beat after the fact. It's like, we don't need to use this. We're just going to. So usually it's almost like being backstage, from what I've heard, being backstage in the locker room.
Yeah, exactly,
A little bit of politicking, and then trying to figure it out. Anybody doing this, stay independent.
Yeah, dude, stay independent, man.
If you can. Stay away from labels. Don't sign any deals. Don't definitely don't share any pseudonyms or give any of that. If you're joining any PROs, UMG, stay away if you can. And then also go to ASCAP. Those who know. You just go that route.
Okay.
Less of a headache.
That's dude's dropping gems for you guys right there. And you are definitely right, man. The music industry is definitely politicky as fuck, man. I know that firsthand as well. And speaking of politicking and politickiness, let's talk a little bit about TNA while we're on a wrestling podcast here, shall we? Me and
Indeed.
you could talk about music for fucking hours, but I think the good folks they want to hear us do what we do on
We'll have
X
to,
and talk
yeah,
some
we'll
shit
have
about
to.
wrestling.
Oh God, we'll have to do a music one later on because
Yeah,
I
dude,
receive the
we'll do it.
questions for sure.
So TNA talent though, we're talking about politicking, and it's like, dude,
Mhm.
TNA. I'm sure you've heard about it. I don't know how much do you watch TNA, or do you stay up with the product, or were you trying to there when they were kind of getting hot again?
I think so. I was off and on with it. I used to watch it a lot back in the day because of some ties that we talked about. Simplify it. Got a relative that spent some time there,
Mm-hmm.
so it was one of those things that I paid attention to. I would kind of fall in and out of it. I think it wasn't until around 2017, I think, is when I like got right when I got back into it because I could see that it just wasn't there was a vision and that it was going somewhere. So I always kept up, even if I couldn't catch the weekly shows, because a lot of the networks that they were always on
Mm-hmm.
didn't have. So I'd have to find it. I'd have to find somewhere on the internet to watch it,
Right.
or until they started doing the TNA Plus thing. I think you don't pay like $1 on YouTube, and then you could just watch the shows.
Yeah, 99 cents, man. I was fortunate
Yeah,
to be in Canada. They're always playing TNA on some channel, so I was able to
yeah.
catch it.
So yeah, you
But
didn't have to try to hunt for it. But yeah, I think in the last like 2, 3 years, I've been paying more attention to it. But yeah, I'd probably say since 2017 on, but heavily like pre-pandemic 2019 to now, I've been like I go out of my way to watch more
good.
amongst other shows I'd rather not watch.
Yeah, no doubt. So basically what's going on, I'm sure you've heard about, they get white hot, they do the white hot, I call it, whatever, but they were hot
Yeah,
for TNA. They did their biggest house in 8 years. They do the Hard to Kill pay-per-view. Scott
which was
Demore,
awesome.
it was awesome. Nick Nemeth comes out there. It seems like TNA's turning everything around. All of a sudden, Scott Demore gets fired from the company.
Oh my
And
God.
I don't know. There's rumors that he was trying to buy the company, or they're trying to take this to the next level, maybe be gearing up for a sale. So they got the pro wrestling guy kind of out of the picture and brought in like a
Mhm.
sports business guy. He helped this guy they put there. I forget his name, but he helped get like WWE on like Sportsnet in Canada or something like that.
Okay,
But the TNA talent, they all wrote a letter that I'm not going to read right in full because
I
it's
read
long, but
it. It's
they
long.
yeah, they wrote a letter rather being like, yo, to the Anthem people being like, yo, we want Demore here. Like this is demoralize see what I did there, demoralizing to us that Scott
Shit. Oh
Demore is
shit.
not
Okay.
backstage. Yeah, I got bars, dude. And so they all tweet out these hourglass tweets, all of the TNA talents tweeting out hourglass tweets. And then Josh Alexander's contract came up, and I guess he asked Anthem, this is all dirt sheet hearsay, but he asked Anthem not to pick up his option. And then they did, though. They did pick up his option. So just basically, what's your thoughts on like Demore leaving? The momentum they had, it's sort of a little bit squandered. Nick Nemeth and shit don't give a fuck because he's used to WWE, where like he doesn't
Yeah,
care. If guys like that don't care,
he's
but the
getting paid
people
either way.
who've been building that brand up, and Josh being like, "Well, I'm getting out of here," and they pick up his option, they're strong arming him a bit. What do you make of all of this?
I think it's a poor way of trying to show tactical dominance. Like they're as kids say, they're trying to stand on business. They got rid of the wrestling guy because the wrestling guy is telling the people in the boardroom that just look at it as like a pretty valuable asset. I'm like, okay, well, this is good because from what I was hearing, Demore was really trying to get them to spend more money to where they could have been competitive. Like when they
Mm-hmm.
were trying to get Punk, when they were trying to get Mercedes, when they were trying to get Okada to
Mm-hmm.
do all those things. And then also, I hear that he stood on business in terms of making sure that talent was actually like respected when on other shows because that forbidden door stuff and they hoard themselves out for like a year. That was probably the one thing that I thought that Demore did wrong.
Yeah,
Like that whole thing with giving Kenny all the belts and shit and
that
doing
is.
all that. So them getting rid of him, thinking that the talent would just assimilate and go with what they're trying to push. It's like all you're doing is just you're setting yourself up to get notices when those contracts are up. And Alexander was just basically trying to show solidarity and then also saying like, we've been here before. We see where this is going. We this is a lot more of the same that put us in the hole that that Scotty got us out of. I don't want this option. And then they just pulled, like, it's an NFL move. I I'm gonna pull the franchise tag because I don't want you to go anywhere else. I don't really want you, but I don't want you to go anywhere. If anybody else can have you, then if I can have you, nobody else can have you. So I'm gonna keep you here, unhappy. And it's an extra year. You can just let him go.
I
At that
know.
point, you let Demore go because we have no idea what happened other than him wanting to buy the company. What?
Yeah, well, there's people like Nick Hausman, and someone else tweeted some shit out that I screen grabbed because he deleted it like a motherfucker like a minute later.
I bet.
But it was something about one of those. I think it's like Steve. I don't want to say anyone's name because I forget exactly which dirt sheet guy it was. But and then Nick Hausman was like, oh, like these, like Demore's friends with Callis and he's friends with Jericho, and those guys are basically implying like they're creepy fucks, and Demore is some way like that. And I like Nick Hausman, but I started calling him out. I was like, dude, tell us what you know or shut the fuck up, because
Oh, after that Kylie Ray thing, yeah, I
yeah,
had no problems with him until that.
well, the Kylie Ray thing, I kind of appreciated him for. I was like, at least somebody. I was like, at least
No, these are
somebody's like
retracting.
calling the shit out and being honest about the
No, hundred
NBA. But
percent,
then,
hundred
but then
percent.
it drummed up so much shit, and then people ran with it against Jericho way too fucking hard to where it's like, I don't know, man. I agree. It just pissed me off. It was like, Hausman, you shouldn't double down and triple down on this shit unless you're gonna spill the beans, or I don't know. I don't know,
Or at
man. I
least
felt
stay,
like it's even
steadfast
disrespectful to
with it.
Kylie Ray. Sorry, you go ahead.
Oh, it was. No, I'm saying, like, at least be steadfast with it. My thing was, of course, call Jericho out on that bullshit. We've all heard things, and the way
Yeah.
that he goes about it, or that, like, when he had that I don't want to call the young lady, whatever the young lady on that outed him on Instagram with all the pictures and stuff, and when all
Right.
that was
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah. Yeah. I screen grabbed that
He,
too. I did a video on that. Yeah.
yeah, it was crazy. So it's just like, as much as people say about the about other people, I'm like, I wouldn't necessarily keep Jericho too far out of that. But then again, the Zealots love the song, so that's what we're gonna do. I saw the amount of bullshit that he got from that, and I was just wondering, like, okay, if he doubles and triples down on Jericho, but when it came to that part, I feel like, at least outside looking in, it's not something that she can or is ready to speak on yet.
Hmm.
But him doing that was kind of like, I'm sure she appreciated it, but at the same time, like, hindsight is like, as much as I appreciate it, this didn't really do much. And my thing was the way he doubled back on it. It was just kind of like, you know what? No, I would just say, you know what? It's not my place to comment on it.
Yeah.
These are just
Yeah.
things that I've heard and seen, and this is somebody that I do not care for a multitude of reasons. So I wouldn't put it past them happening. But it was just the way that he don't start so strong just to kind of cower towards the end. Like, you can back down or retract a little
Yeah.
bit without cowering, and that was the part that I didn't like.
Yeah, man. And then just to kind of throw Demore in that group of like, oh, well, he's kind of with Callis. And then someone else, I wish I have the screen grab. Someone said some shit like, Apple doesn't, like, some saying, like, basically insinuating like this dude's friends with Callis, so he fucking but they deleted it swiftly. And yeah, I just don't know if maybe because we just have no idea what happened with Demore ultimately at the end of the day. So speaking of, like, the talent were unhappy, there might be some beefs. There might be some unhappy talent in the back, as you said, Josh Alexander backstage all unhappy. Well, there's talent in AEW that have been allegedly unhappy, and we've heard about, more and more. The Hardy Boys were saying shit, and then now CMLL, there's a deal where Mexican talent like the Lucha Bros can't appear on the same shows as CMLL talent. Like, what the fuck does Tony Khan think he's doing with with this talent that he, like, what, he's going to bring in CMLL guys and he has luchadors on his roster he should be trying to build up, and it's just such foolery. But more heat to shift away from that, because that's old news. Kiera Hogan
Uh,
apparently has beef with Mercedes Mone in AEW already.
really?
Um,
Okay, I'm lost on that. Fill me in on that one.
yeah, I'm
I might have
going
missed
to.
that.
So I'm going to play you a clip, my friend Marty, and this is from a year ago, August 20th, 2023. Here is Kiera Hogan talking about Mercedes Mone on an Instagram live. And let me preface this by saying a lot of people compare them. A lot of people go, oh, you're just like a knockoff Sasha Banks, your gear, your hair, in regard to Kiera Hogan. Me, I don't get that. I don't know. I always looked at them
Oh
as
no,
kind
I
of
just I
different characters.
despise that. I despise that comparison. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, like, I know the people who make those comparisons, and I hear it, and that's like when anytime that there's a predominantly like good, like cool black stable or like faction, then they
Mhm.
just want to they want to create the new nation of domination. Every
I know.
person of color or that does that, like that's just of the culture,
Or
period. They don't
yeah,
look the
dude.
same, they don't wrestle the same, they don't do that. It's
Yeah,
stupid.
exactly, man. Or when everyone was like, "Oh, I want to see Jade and Bianca in a tag team," and I'm sitting there like before Jade Cargill came over to WWE, and my whole thing was like, why? I'd keep them so far away from each other until they meet in
So
like a
that's a
moment
mega
like
match.
the Royal
Yeah,
Rumble. They had that
exactly.
moment, like keep them far away. Like why? Because they're both like very athletic black chicks. You want to fucking put them in a tag team together? I just don't get like
Basically,
yeah, I
basically.
exactly. So to me, that goes over my head. I don't know. I'm an indigenous dude, so maybe that's why it just goes over my like. I don't know. You want to like I don't know. So it just to me, I don't get it. To me, Kiera Hogan and Sasha are like not similar at all. But also Kiera, I followed her. I loved her at when she was a Knockouts tag champion in Impact as
Oh
well.
yeah,
Like that's
With
yeah,
Tasha
that
Steelz.
exactly. That's when I first got on the train with Kiera. But anyways, and these two ladies don't seem to think they're similar either, because here's what Kiera Hogan had to say about Mercedes Mone just a year ago, and we're talking about her possibly now coming in with her writer, which we'll talk about in a moment, into AEW uh, with big business. But anyways, here's Kiera Hogan.
Okay.
Actually, I do go through depression, and a lot of people fucking do, not just me. Because I'm sure fucking Mercedes does too, but she don't talk to y'all about that shit. I actually talk to my fans about that shit.
I understand talking about we don't know the girl. Y'all don't know the girl.
Like, do y'all really know her? Do y'all know?
Do y'all know how it's wrestling? Like, y'all know we all know and meet and see each other all the time?
I met her on multiple occasions. She's not nice.
Same here.
She's never been nice. She's never been nice. Never.
And other female wrestlers can tell you the same.
So, and then y'all be like, she doesn't know. Yes, she does. If she's a wrestling fan, as she says she is, she watches all wrestling.
Hold on now. I don't know about all that. Anyways.
Like I said, she liked the shit on in Ring of Honor, so.
Interesting.
Bro, she used to watch my stories. So
Yeah, that's the summation of it. I don't know if I agree with her about you watch all wrestling if you're a wrestling fan, but she's making the point that if Mercedes is who she says she is, because let's be honest, Mercedes does watch all wrestling. She's a big like Japanese wrestling fan and stuff. So that was the point
Joshi,
Kiera
all
was
that.
making.
She appreciates strong style. She appreciates all that. I mean, I've met her once, and it was her Bailey, like it was her Bailey, Tamina. It was at which Mania was this? It was at Wally Mania. I'm trying to remember.
Mm.
And Naomi was there. This was this 30 or is it one of the two? In my interactions, she just seemed cool. It was super chill. But like I know a few people in the business and just in general. And it's not like everybody has to fuck with each other like that. And you could have just caught somebody on a bad day. I feel like a lot of that might have been extra. I don't think that they're on they're in two different stages, two different platforms, two different levels. So I don't think that and I could be wrong, but I'm just saying like maybe there could have been some animosity there, but I don't think that if I'm in a business where I'm trying to get a check and I'm trying to get my value and get my worth, and if I left somewhere, went out, doubled my value, and then ended up going to someplace else to said place to get that money, obviously you're going to keep tabs on everywhere. She showed up. She was at the last TNA pay per view.
Mm-hmm.
They were present, so I'm and she was backstage. So I would assume that they would talk to people. If she's going to be, she was at the what was the thing at Wembley? Can't remember. All
All
in.
in.
It's all in, right? She was.
Yeah.
I would assume she had been backstage at that point if they set her up and put her on camera.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, it's just to, I mean, to say that, oh well, you watch everything or to be nice. I was like, I don't know, like expound. How many interactions have you had? How many other conversations have you had? There's a lot of hearsay. I feel like there's tribalism in friendship groups too. Like you see it on X.
Everywhere, and we're tribal people, man.
Yeah.
I know. I've heard as well. I've heard, and I've said this before on the show, and I just preface it by saying like I can't confirm nor deny. I've never met Mercedes Mone, but I also heard, bro, that she was just like think her shit don't stink kind of thing, you know. So I don't know, but I'm not.
Possibly. I mean, and it could, but I mean, if you built the legacy that you built, then I look at it this way: being a minority and going to have to do things. There's certain parts of the spectrum that a lot of people don't take the chance or take the time to like look at. Being like being of like ethnic backgrounds, like just
Yeah.
to do the basic stuff, or even in the music stuff that I'm doing, it's like I got to work twice as hard just to get the normal,
Mhm.
and that's even harder when you're a woman and a woman of color when you're already underpaid and working to get twice as hard. Like I already feel like she should have been. If Charlotte got 5, she should have got 5. She made Charlotte
Yeah.
look like gold. If that's really what it was, I'm not pocket watching, but I'm just saying if that's
Mhm.
what you hear on the internet, it's like okay, if that's the case, then I would deserve that too. And then I
Yeah.
disagree with her not. She took that break for like what was it like almost 8 9 months? When was this? It was like
It was like 8 months, the same
2014.
as Naomi, right? They walked out the
Yeah,
same
she
time. Yeah.
no, but even before that, when her last contract was there, remember she came back. She came back, and this was like this was like right before COVID.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
came back because we thought she was going to be gone, and then they ended up shooting like a documentary for it because she was burnt out
Yeah.
and she was going through it. Like I think it was on the network. Like they did a
Yeah.
whole special on
I
it. That's why
remember
when she
that.
came
Yeah.
back and turned on Natty, that's why it was such a big thing. So she was going through it too. And then keep in mind she's relatively young.
Yeah.
Like she's still very young. So I mean maturity in this type of business and maybe she does think her shit doesn't
And
stink,
she's
but
and she's
everybody
in
has a complex.
Star Wars and shit too. It's like she don't. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just so happy she's getting like this huge ass payday. This is what I heard,
Oh
and
yeah.
again, grain of salt. I'm not a dirt sheet, but I did hear this. That they matched everything. WWE matched everything that she wanted. Gave her like a better thing on her merchandise deal and everything. But ultimately, it was like they just weren't gonna perk her up like with perks, like the way it's like Becky has a tour bus and gets first class this and top
Don't get me
shelf
started on
whatever.
that.
That's all she wanted as well. Like she wanted her own bus and shit, and they were just like, no,
So
like
like what Cody and Randy and Becky and
yeah,
Seth
they
get and
matched her
what
money
Charlotte
like
gets.
and the whole Charlotte money thing that was started by Sean Ross Sapp, who's like, I heard a rumor that. So everyone ran with it as, oh, he heard us, like he heard, but his exact quote is, I heard a rumor. So that's like, that's like that could mean anything. So I just felt like that was toxic too, and that created a lot of hate on Mercedes where she didn't deserve it. Now, as far as Mercedes coming into AEW, do you think she pops a fucking rating like Punk, and do you think she continues to carry it? I think that's a pipe dream for all the AEW stenatics, man. I think that they're tripping out. Like, I'm not even trying to hate on her. I love her. I hope they paid her tremendously. I'm actually kind of glad she's going to AEW because they don't need WWE like doesn't need anyone else right now. Like they just need to get through this year and see like
Mhm.
where the cookie crumbles because they're just stacked on in every division. And
Yeah.
so AEW, I think maybe like Timeless Tony Storm and Mercedes could maybe really drum up some attention if that's the route they choose to go, which is kind of a slap in the face to Deonna Purrazzo because she just came there. But that Emmy
Agree.
award winning writer who just left WWE worked with Sasha Banks, Mercedes Mone in a bunch
Mhm.
on a bunch of her stuff, and she just signed with AEW. It just like right when I was waiting for you to hop on the show here, Marty, it was just
Oh,
announced. So,
they did they throw up the graphic that she's all elite? So
well,
did they
the writer is all elite. They didn't throw up the graphic, but she is an Emmy award winning, and she started in soap opera. She worked with
Mhm.
WWE. Now Tony Khan finally got like a real television writer, and this is someone who's worked closely with Mercedes. And so this is all positives for AEW. I don't know. I'm going to be optimistic about
I
what,
concur.
yeah. So, but do you think she
Hmm.
makes a big difference? Like, do you think Mercedes is the game changer that they've been waiting for?
Well, I mean, props to her for getting her own Brian Gewirtz. She's doing the same thing that The Rock did.
Mm-hmm.
Found somebody who made you look like gold, like diamond plated gold,
Yep.
and kept them with you, and it's went over into other things. So obviously she just knows enough people or has heard enough to know not to trust Tony or his friends booking things.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Because it's just, and this is just me speaking for me before the internet gets all of my mentions and starts saying a bunch of stupid shit. Like, clearly, if you are not Caucasian or Japanese, he does not know how to, like,
Yeah, he doesn't
in
know how
long
to book
term,
you, bro. No,
he
that's
does
fair to
not know
say.
how to book you. Yeah, he does not know how to book
Or
you.
a dude. He doesn't. Did you say dude as well? Because he doesn't know how to book
Yeah.
women. He doesn't book them.
No. That's my last part. Women,
Okay,
period.
good.
He does not know how to book them because he doesn't give them enough shine. When
Yeah.
he tried too hard, that's when we got the whole Britt Baker debacle and her just being the only, like, the heat that Charlotte gets is the heat that, like, I noticed Britt Baker didn't start getting and somewhat deserved until fairly recently. So, like, my faith in his ability to book a women's division long term outside of like two characters and not sending them to the shows in the abyss, I'm I'm not as strong on it. Now, I think if she has control over her writing, which I'm sure she negotiated, and then she can do that, I know that she'll probably replace Punk in terms of holding Collision down and then trying to make
Ugh.
that more of a focus. That's
Ugh.
just based off of prior
Yeah.
experience with it. That's where I see it going,
Yeah.
is him doing that and trying to make that happen. She's going to pop a rating, especially with them doing it in Boston, even
Yeah.
though she's actually from Fairfield, California, which is right next to the Bay Area where I am from.
Yeah.
Boston, that's where she trained. Y'all can claim her, but she's from the same area code that I am.
Okay.
But so she's gonna pop that rating. She's gonna pop that rating in that venue in that show, and I think we'll get consistency for about 2 weeks, maybe a month, before she's just on Collision, and then it's just them trying to figure out what they're gonna do with this world title picture, how these rankings that don't make any sense at all before those finally fade away, and before they introduce a new belt that nobody's gonna remember who's the champion.
Yeah, dude.
I'm
You're
scared.
totally on point with all that.
I'm terrified of this because I just want her. And my thing is, okay, I'm sure it's probably only a 2 year deal. She's going to keep it. If I can finesse you, even if I wanted to go back to WWE and they were only going to give me three and whatever, if you're going to give me five plus everything I asked for, I don't begrudge her. I'm going over there too. Even
Me
if I know
neither,
you're not going to
especially for
use me well.
yeah.
Hell yeah, I'm going over there. I'm running it up for that 2 years, and then
Two
I'm gonna go
years,
right back
man.
with my
She's got her
with
whole
my
life
value.
ahead of her. She's got 10 years left in the
Exactly.
tank, dude.
Exactly, and her value is just going to skyrocket because they're going to be able to take her from AEW, and then by then it'll be even better. So I mean, I'm I just want everybody to have the same energy they have now in 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, a year, or
Yeah.
God forbid if she gets injured in any way, shape, or
Oh
form,
man, that's my
they will
biggest
turn on her.
fear. I feel, dude, I'm like, dude, what if because she started being like with WWE, she was hurt and then she was burnt out and then she comes back and then she gets hurt kind of right away. And it's like, God damn, what if she gets hurt again? Like Punk, dude. He got hurt in the fucking Rumble that fucked everything up. It's like,
Oh my
yeah.
God, I don't
So
know if it
I'm
was the
worried
part
that
that
she gets hurt.
the
That's
part
been my
that
like underlying dream that I'm like, please don't get hurt. Please don't get hurt.
Because then what are they going to? Because that's what my thing. Everybody's going to fucking turn on her, and I'm just thinking like, okay, look at these matches that they're doing. It's
Yeah.
like every match. If they put women on TV, it's like they're putting them in all these like hardcore, crazy matches, and not
That's
to
what
say
I'm
that
scared about.
they can't do it.
That
It's like she doesn't need to be doing anything with checks or flaming tables or
or they want to
people.
see her match versus Bailey from NXT again. And it's like, I'm sorry,
Oh
guys.
my
That's like a once in a fucking lifetime you get someone who puts a performance on like that, unless your name's Shawn Michaels or Bret Hart, You get fucking, there's like one time you put on a performance like that in your career. And like, I'm not saying she can't do it again. She's had tremendous matches, but like, that's
Now,
probably
if
her
they're
like
doing it with
greatest
Bailey, I
match to
put money
date.
on it.
Like,
I bet my house. I bet my house that her and Bailey could do that again if they were
Oh,
actually
I'm
given.
not doubting that. I'm just saying, who's she
Yeah.
going to do that with in AEW where they're not touching? The reason people don't get why WWE, like the pay-per-view matches end up being so good and why it's worth it in the end is because like you go on the house show loop and you touch the same people 4,000 times before you even touch them on TV. So the problem with AEW is everyone's
Gotcha.
part-time and you don't touch everyone.
And they're
Like,
doing indies and all these other type of dangerous ass
yeah.
matches, and they're
Like
working with
you
like
don't
all
have
types of
50
talent.
matches off TV before you have a match on TV, and that's why WWE crushes it, and that's why the house show loops are so important in AEW.
Oh
They
yeah,
don't
you
have
see what
that
they did the
down.
last two. The last two, I think there was because back home, last family I went back home, the Oakland show that they did had, it was like 75 or 7,500. And then the one they did in Fresno had 9,000 for a house show.
Yes, dude. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And speaking of California, California, Ice Cube's son, O'Shea Jackson junior Ice Cube Jr., he did an interview while we're on the topic of AEW as well. He did an interview with Chris Van Vliet.
Oh, I saw it. I watched it this morning.
I didn't watch it in full yet. I was busy getting some writing done, but there is clips of it, and he basically, everybody melted down over what he had to say. Do you think he's snooping? We're talking off pod about Snoop Dogg snooping. Marty just dropped that on me. That's a good one.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Maybe. I have no idea. He seemed like he had all his devices together, but from what he's saying, because I've had some exchanges with him on X, and we know some mutual people, and I just see the shit that he gets, and I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, damn, okay, if I actually had the platform or the notoriety, it's like everything I say is just going to be misconstrued and attacked.
Oh, of course, dude. Yeah, I mean, fuck. We all get it. You know, I have 1,000 followers. I get that shit all the time too. Like, it's crazy. But this is what. Oh, go ahead.
I've seen.
You've seen. Yeah. You know. So I got Sean Ross Sapp listening to this right now. So O'Shea Jackson Jr., he was on Chris Van Vliet, and shout out Chris Van Vliet, man. I think he's the GOAT. He's the best at.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he's like the GOAT of just like wrestler interviews, you know, and he gets shit too for like, oh, he gave Velveteen Dream a platform. It's like, or did he just interview him? Like we interview Jeffrey Dahmer or Charles Manson or whoever, the lady who put her kid in the dumpster. Yeah, we fucking interview all these people.
Killer is about to get a show. Like everybody gets a platform, and I whether agree or not, accusations or not, everybody should get the platform to have their free speech, to at least try to exonerate or explain or whatever, regardless if I give a shit about what you got to say or not.
Exactly.
I'm not going to begrudge someone for giving you the option to speak for yourself.
Yeah, and when we're talking about like serial killers and shit too, it's like that's a dive into the psyche. Like that's a look for the public into the mind of like a psych. It's like research. It's like history that needs to be documented. But you would think this guy defended Hitler with the backlash he got just over saying some shit like this. So here, I'll play what he said. This is a 2-minute clip. And
if I'm watching someone on AEW and I ask, who is this guy?
Yo. Before, right when he says that sentence, though, he like smirks almost as if to like he knows he's going to get shit for just saying this simple little thing. Like he's bracing for it. He's like, motherfucker, I know what I'm about to do. And I'm sorry, but it must be said. You know, we need him. We need him.
If I'm watching someone on AEW and I ask, who is this guy? I don't need you to tell me I'm not a real wrestling fan, to tell me how could you not know such and such who did, who gives a damn? Like, I need you, all right, inform me, bro. Or at least have your programming in a way to let people know why you should love this dude, why you should fuck with this guy. That's something that I feel like is missing. Conan, when I was on his podcast, he brought up, when you watch UFC, and they give you a little backstory about this dude, backstory about that dude, what this guy's had to go through, what he's done, and vice versa. And then they put him in the room, and they cuss each other out. And then by watching those videos, you've picked a side of who you're with. That's missing from that. What they have is this niche group of people who watch all of these wrestling shows, and they're already in the know. So when they see these names together, it is a dream match for them. But you're trying to sell this to American television, baby. You got to movie that up a little bit. You got to give me some cinema to follow, you know, something to hold on to besides the announce team. running down a list for me while this dude's walking down the ramp. And I feel like that's missing. And when you are trying to get involved and trying to really give something a chance, and when you question it even a little bit, and you get 80 no-faced accounts coming at you, at any given time, you're like, man, fuck this noise, bro. Like, I'm cool off of it. If y'all like it, I don't. And I don't want that.
Gotta drop him an air horn. I mean, I agree with everything he said. No lies detected, and I just feel like that exactly. You got to movie it up, and people want to play that game and go, well, the ratings don't like all this shit, but they do, man. Tony needs to talk about the key demo all the time. He's trying. He wants to market it to casuals.
Shit and all his stuff all the time. That's all we heard the whole first.
Yeah, he would run. He would just own an indie fed and run an untelevised indie PWG. He'd just buy PWG and do PWG if he just only wanted crazy matches and didn't want to quote unquote compete with the WWE and Vince and everything. So we can't sit there and lie and go, I don't give a fuck how much money they make, because Tony Khan cares about how much money they make. He cares about the TV ratings. He cares about the key demo. He cares about all that shit. And
daddy money, of course he cares.
Yeah, and all O'Shea is saying is, brother, listen to this, and this is how you're going to change it around for the mainstream and the casuals, what you're trying to cater the fucking show to. I don't care what anyone has to say. Casuals are the lifeblood of every industry. Period. You cater to casuals. You make shit for your hardcores, or you cater to your hardcores a little bit, but you have to fucking try and expand. And especially if you're in the TV business, and but I don't care how much people watch the show, then why are you even in the TV business? Do you guys not get that? They don't get that shit. These people who make these fucking terrible arguments of like, well, it doesn't matter if the blah, blah, blah. It's just like, but Tony Khan cares. So when you guys go and fight and defend AEW, but you're doing it saying like, well, fuck the numbers and fuck this and that. It's like Tony in his life isn't just saying fuck this and that. He's like stressing out up all night, drinking soda waters, trying to figure out how he's going to fix these fucking problems that you guys go, it aren't problems. And so I don't know, man. O'Shea is just speaking facts. What do you think about what he said and my little jibber jabber rant there?
No, not at all. Not at all. 9 times out of 10, you're going to be saying some shit that I was already thinking. That's what made me check out the shit. Like,
okay.
Before we get into it, just to give props to you, like I was watching shit on fucking YouTube, because like there's some people that I'm familiar with, or that I've met or got acquainted with on YouTube, and I check out their shit, and I think randomly, because YouTube will just skip over to the next video. Your show was like one of the first clips that popped up, and I was listening to one, then I was listening to two, then I was listening to the whole show, and I was like, oh shit, he totally gets, like, I tweet this and get yelled at, but it's like, oh, he says it on the podcast. This is fucking great.
Yeah, you gotta say
props to you for that. No, what he was saying is just with the casuals. I have people that like in my family that watch it. Like wrestling's like a heavy thing. I went to my first show in the womb, like legit. Like my dad watches it. My mom watches it. I have uncles, aunts, even outside of the family portion of it.
You have relatives who wrestle. High level.
Relatives who wrestle, yeah.
High level, so the highest of the level, literally, yeah.
Highest of the level, and I'm hoping they don't fuck that up. But as long as he gets paid, I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into that. But what he was saying was, you have to movie it up. I have casuals. Say all that to say, I have like casuals of people in my life that when they come over, like I had my in-laws come over to like watch WrestleMania. Like my wife's best friend came over to like watch Royal Rumble. And the thing is they're familiar with all the old stuff, but the fact is, it's like, okay, they're getting a video package. They're going to get replays of the past show to understand. You're going to get a 2 to 3 minute, like, bite-sized chunk of content that's going to fill you in to understand, to where you can either care about that person, or at least be engaged in the match. And I literally watch people who haven't watched WWE in years, or get into, it's just, they'll watch Mania and it's like, who's that guy? Oh, don't worry, they're going to let you know. and we're gonna see what's happening. And then they're like, oh, okay, so he's this person, or he or she is they're the bad guy, or that's what's going on with that. And then just watch how they can easily just slip right back into it and get interested. And then I've also like with my wife, like she was a wrestling fan as a kid, and then I got her back into it like heavy. Like her and my kids, we just took our kids to SmackDown in Salt Lake when The Rock was there. That
Hell yeah.
was it was the dopest shit ever.
Oh my
But when
God.
she watches AEW with me sometimes, which she tries to, and the amount of questions I get.
Yeah, my
Like,
girl's the
outside of
same
them-
way, dude. My
Oh
girl's the
my
same
God,
way.
who is this
Yeah.
guy? So wait, does he just do flips? Like, wait, why didn't they sell that? They're supposed to sell that, right?
Yeah.
Wait, doesn't that hurt? Or how did he get power drive through this? Like, that's crazy. Why is there so much blood? Or who is this person?
I got
Like,
asked why is there what is the story? Why are they fighting? Did they just fight? Did they just fight in AEW? Like they don't
like who is
there's
this?
no
Okay,
reason
they're
to
from
fight? Yeah.
Japan.
And I was like,
New
dude,
Japan. She watched Wrestle Kingdom with me. New Japan, like she was able to get an extra, before the pay-per-view start, how they always do like the little intros before, so
Yeah.
you can understand like what's going on. And that's not even in English. She's reading the subtitles and gets the understanding of it. And then you have these people that get on here because it's like you see me tweet it a lot, or people who will check me after this. You'll see I always tweet a goalpost moving because they always move the goalposts. I had to hear about how they were bringing back the casual fan. Well, we're doing the wrestling that people want, and we're doing all this. And it's like, no, you're confusing the main audience because you're trying to renew this TV deal. You may not even be on the network that brought you back. And that's what held up the talks with the CW, because you wanted to get more money for it. But then again, you weren't really at a place to where you could negotiate. And the person that brought you guys to TNT, TBS, to Turner isn't even there anymore, which would make me think, if I got brought into a job, and it's a pretty sweet fucking job, but the person who brought me in is no longer there anymore, and they're bringing in somebody else that has no rapport with me, doesn't care, and is looking at the bottom line, the bottom dollar. What's going on with that? How do I make it how do I appease the casual audience? Because there's so much, you can't, so fucking frustrating. You can't cater everything to every person that watches Being the Fucking Elite, that understands all these meta jokes that nobody understands. I wasn't watching it back. Like, I used to watch it. I have no idea what the fuck is going on. You only push the same 8 people. This person can break into somebody's house and put stuff in their baby's crib, but then now this guy is the bad guy and we're supposed to understand that. Or like the women, this person, she the Undertaker now, but the other person is not in that.
So this girl's spooky, and then this girl's spooky, and then this girl got Black Mist. Now she's spooky, but then they hated each other, but now they're friends again.
It doesn't go. And then it's like the Young Bucks, it's like these face turns when they're really just heels all the fucking time. And then wait, now they're putting in this, and then Kenny ran himself into the fucking ground because of the face of this. I feel like Moxley is just like a newer age Ric Flair, because this dude is just going to run until he literally dies in the fucking ring, because they're never going to give him a break. It's just so fucking confusing. So when O'Shea says something like that, where he's like, you gotta dress this up because you're trying to get this to the broader, wider audience, you're going to get more sponsors, you're going to be able to tour in bigger arenas if arena shows are your goal, instead of going to the same place every time. If you're going to go to have these house shows or have these dynamite shows or whatever, and you're barely clearing 3,500 people, but then you have everyone on the internet spitting venom to defend something that isn't really defendable.
No.
Then you're just turning people off to it. Like, I've tried to explain AEW to a few people,
and you
coworkers.
can't. It's too. Every shit is too meta. Every match is like some meta explanation. And this is their video package. It's Excalibur going, oh, and this guy was the CMLL AAA champion, and this is contested under Ring of Honor Pure Rules, which means no knees or whatever the fuck. Like, it's just like a 2-minute as everyone's coming to the ring.
And poor
it's like,
JR just be trying. JR just be trying. Like, he's living. He just tries. He tries, and then it's like you have the GOAT announcer, and then you just have him going through the motions, and then everybody on here is just so fucking confused. Like, oh well, they won the PWG so and so in 2017. Okay, cool. What else can you tell me? Like, you're pushing the same.
What are their vocation? Why do they dress like this? What is the meaning behind when they? Like, everything, dude. Like, it's just such little things. It's
all these people get hurt.
It's frustrating.
Oh my God, how many people get hurt? Like, Jeff Hardy,
dude.
is he okay? Is he okay?
I don't know, dude. I don't know.
I know it's asking Jeff Hardy if he's okay is a crazy thing to ask.
Yeah, he broke
asking if But just this like both of the Hardys have been victim to homie. You know,
To
you know what I
Sammy
mean?
Guevara multiple times, man.
Oh my God. And then it's just the stuff. It's like, okay, we're gonna crank up. Oh, WWE's they're crowding in pipe noise. They're piping in crowd noise. Okay, so when we hear Judas all through a run in, we don't know. Like the goalposts just move so much, and I've seen like it turns people off. Like my wife doesn't even want to talk about it anymore. Doesn't even try to get into it anymore because I think she tweeted something once about a match, and people that don't even follow her was in the mentions talking crazy
Yeah.
because who are you to talk about this and all this other stuff? It's
Yeah,
like, is
it's
this how
nuts.
they like that? Sponsors look at that. It's like people and companies, they're looking at your social media, they're looking at your mentions, they're looking at the stuff that's seen and heard. And it's like that's hard to press in a boardroom when you're trying to get a TV deal. Nick Khan just has to walk in there and just snap of a finger, $1 billion deal, bam, 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 bam. It's like, okay, we still don't even know if they're renewing, where they're going to go with any of this. You what O'Shea is saying is the most natural, simple thing in the planet, but they're
Yeah.
taking it as that he wants them
It's
to
good
shut down.
advice, dude. That's
He's
what's so
in TV.
yeah, dude. That's what's so funny, bro. Oh yeah, you mean the guy from Straight Outta Compton that I went and saw in theaters 3 fucking times couldn't impart some knowledge on Tony
Dude's on
Khan.
Star
Like,
Wars. He's
yeah,
in a
dude,
bunch. He's
come the
been in
fuck on, man.
Godzilla, a shit ton of movies. He's got other shit dropping. His dad is one of like has become sneakily becoming one of the best like directors like in the business
Oh
itself.
my god.
Like he's surrounded by like he's in the
He's
industry.
only
It's
in
like
good shit too, like Cocaine Bear. Like he's only in shit that's like marketed well and like I think he had like a show that like O'Shea. I think he had a show that recently got like canceled or something. But that's like I think it was like the pandemic probably had something to do with that. You know what I mean? Or the actors strike. I mean, pardon me, the pandemic,
yeah.
the actors strike. Like people weren't allowed to promote their shows and stuff. And I think he had a show just come out. So that's like the only thing I think I haven't seen of O'Shea's, you know. So it's like what like yeah, he
Yeah.
wouldn't know anything about like Hollywood it up, you know? Like that's great advice coming from a Hollywood actor who's
Yeah.
only in good shit. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. To me it's crazy. So then Tony Khan responds to O'Shea
Oh,
and
you know baseball, right? Was that
it's
the tweet? That's the only one I saw. He's just at O'Shea Jackson Jr. You know baseball.
he goes, you might be this is the one I saw right here. I might need to look into it more than but he says at O'Shea Jackson Jr. This is Tony Khan. He says, you might enjoy checking out new experiences plus entire worlds of international graps out there. I think learning about them is fun. All wrestling is awesome. I hope you enjoy whatever you like. Plus, maybe someday you'll be interested in wider circles. And then he posted a GIF of the Curb Your Enthusiasm, Larry David being like, and you will enjoy yourself. So what do you make of that? So Tony Khan, so basically what Tony Khan's saying here, you might enjoy checking out new experiences outside of WWE is what he's insinuating. Entire worlds of international graps out there. And I'm tired of this bullshit. Like WWE doesn't have the best luchadors in the world. Like WWE doesn't have the best British strong style motherfuckers or the best Gaiju heavyweights or the best cruiserweights. Like just because they're not doing their craziest shit every night doesn't
They're
mean
not doing indie shit.
yeah,
Doesn't mean that
yeah, like killing
they're wrestling
themselves.
for
Dante
TV. Yeah, they're
Martin,
wrestling for TV. They have to know
yeah,
time cues. All the like has you ever had anyone ever like post that or have you ever seen it in a tweet? I'm curious because I asked Gresh this, I asked a bunch of people this. Like when people think that they send you to the performance center because you're wrestling on nationally
in
syndicated
front of
TV,
millions of people.
millions of people on a weekly basis. You need to know, understand time cues, know
Ugh,
where the camera's at when you're going to breaks, all of that. And you have to still be able to sequence a match. You have to learn
yes,
scripts before you go out
yes,
and still remember your
promos,
match.
everything, dude.
What the fuck?
What the and they're touching all the time. They're on the road all. This is what I stress too. Like, dude, AEW wrestlers are mostly all part time. They all wrestle like once or twice a month if they don't take fucking indie dates. So it's like, yeah, like if you're Moxley, you might wrestle, 10 times in a month. But it's like, I don't know. Dominic Mysterio went a week. He wrestled. It was like 10 shows on that European tour in like a week or whatever. I don't know. That's what gets you ready for, like you said, TV, time cues, knowing when and where to do things and why. And it's just like, I don't care if you're Kenny Omega or you're fucking Roman Reigns. If you're not doing that shit consistently, I don't know. It's just not there in spades, you know? And yeah, I just feel like Tony shouldn't be responding to good criticism like this and just sort of not accusing, but just saying, oh, Shay, you like check out different international graps around the world. And it's like, I don't know, dude. I don't know. They have all that in WWE, dude. To me, that's just a crazy notion. So I want to say Tony responded one more time to that. But I'm actually
see if you can find it. My thing is he's treating everything like he's treating him like he was being an op about it. Because don't get me wrong, he's gotten good criticism, but it's came from places and people that have been labeled by the IWC to be discreditable. Like, don't get me wrong. Like when Conan does certain shit, like I don't agree with everything that fucking Disco says. I feel like it's weird that Conan's the most objective out of like everything that goes on there. But even sometimes Disco will like trip and fall and say something that like makes sense, or he'll make a valid point. It's just the way he delivers it is just like a complete jack off, so it doesn't come across. Or his like when Bischoff says something, I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
That anybody criticizes Bischoff because Bischoff has done. Say what you want about Eric Bischoff, he's the only person to bring Vince to his knees.
Yeah, dude.
And run shit and do anything, and he's also fucked it up. He did it at WCW,
He's
and
the
then he
best
did it
guy to
again at
listen
TNA.
to.
He is he understands TV deals because he was a TV guy before he like ventured into the wrestling thing.
Before and after. Like after wrestling, dude, he produced a bunch of stuff for TV. Like
exactly.
Yeah.
So like, why are you arguing with this? Because now you're doing like it's slipping. That's why the decline has happened. Because I noticed when I watched it, because I stopped even like tapping in because I noticed that it was doing like TNA like 09 to like 12 TNA like era, or like even like 2000 2001 WCW, where it's just none of the storylines make any sense. They flip everything on the whim. It's the same people. The matches are just crazy for no reason.
I know.
It's just what is
I love crazy matches, but it's like just save them for the fucking pay-per-views and then just tell me all the stories during the shows. Like it's a real simple thing we're doing here, right? 6 to 8 minute matches. Your main event can go 12 to 25 fucking minutes, you know, and then just fucking tell us stories like TNA does it. Oh, fuck, can't you figure this out? It's so simple.
How many false finishes can you have on every?
That's what I mean. Then they just don't mean shit. Then they don't mean shit. Like it's truly like. It's truly just like a tried and true formula for like 100+ years that Tony Khan just is like
like he's playing call on 2K.
Yeah, like he doesn't get that. Like the Young Bucks would be way more over if like they were just schmarmy pricks, or they were just like the overly babyface guys who did their crazy ass matches in the main event or just on the pay-per-view, and then you just kind of had them have short, like, don't have them do every spot, every indie spot, because these guys were used to just doing like indie dates. So now when you do all those crazy fucking spots every show, you know what I mean, dude? It just kills it for everyone. And then Edge and Christian go in there, and they have a match with 8,000 rest holds, and fucking they're having a straight WWE match. And then everyone's like, man, this is fire, this is flame. And it's like, yeah, because they're having a match with psychology and pacing, and they're not flipping off shit and going crazy. Like, they're just like, don't you get it, please, for the love of God.
Well, they have the resumes for it too. People are going to be more mindful when it's somebody that comes in with the credibility and stuff that they grew up on. I don't understand why everybody is they act like so many fucking scorned lovers. I know for a period of time WWE was it, and that's all that was it. But keep in mind, you were a wrestling fan until something else came. And then you just gravitated to that, like the resentment for something you still watched and you still took care, like you still cared for it. Because when those people left and came to AEW, you bigged it up as if this was this big giant step. It's just moving of the goalposts. It's the lack of structure, and it's just crazy. And maybe he's dealing with too much. And you've seen it with the stuff that was going on in the backstage and with every, you know, with all the craziness going on backstage, and then it goes in through the matches, and it's all these unhappy talents. It's like the grass isn't always greener. And
No.
I don't get me wrong, nobody wants them to fail. We want them to get better, but
Yeah,
it's just
that's why people are critical, man. The people who are critical care, like your haters are closer to your fans than, you know what I mean? Than like some of your fucking
a
fans
hater is
are,
going to
you
keep it
know?
real with you than a lot of your friends will,
Yeah,
because
man, because they'll tell
they'll
you
tell you
like
the
the
objective
thing they'll
truth.
because they're trying to like hurt you or like be smarter than you. So they're gonna try and tell you the thing that you know, like is like you wouldn't maybe even think of. So I don't know. You gotta find, even if it's some from some fucking idiot, you can still. I feel like everyone and everything and every experience in life, there's positives to extrapolate along with negatives. But O'Shea Jackson Jr. tweets out in response. He just says, "Everything I said was only because I want to see AEW grow. TK, God bless." And then he also responded again, O'Shea. So Tony didn't respond to that, but O'Shea then quote tweeted him again and said, "Also, Tony, while I have your attention, me and a whole lot of other people think you should check out the work of Tiger Style Pro." Shout out fucking O'Shea for putting over Tiger Style Pro.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And Tiger Style Pro, dude, he has this fucking Samoa Joe video who's just
Oh, it was fire. It
the
was so fire.
motherfucking man. He's got this video, dude. Oh my God. Yeah. Joe's one of my all-timers, my friend.
Love that guy. He's awesome.
Yes.
He's one of the goats. He's one of the
Absolutely.
goats.
Especially like for our generation of like real wrestling mark. Yeah, he's like a Mount Rushmore type guy.
Can talk, can work with anybody. Man can do commentary, can rock the shit out of a fucking suit, knows his music,
Can
plays
fucking
games.
act, can do video,
Come on,
can
man.
do voiceovers. He's a star. A WWE recognized it too, you know? They just released everyone and Joe went and fucking got his bag in AEW and he's making the most of it. He's world fucking champion. Well deserved. I couldn't wait for him to fucking, I know. I couldn't wait for that. Like I was saying that shit for a year, Tony. Way to catch up. Not to shit on MJF. So
No, we can let that go.
Bret Hart, one of the goats of all time.
goat.
Speaking of goats, the goat in your opinion. I'm Canadian,
Yes.
so yes, Bret Hart to me is, we are Bret Hart people. Why do you
Yes.
love Bret Hart so much? Being someone who's, as you said, from the Bay Area, and you're an American. I know you spent time in Canada. Why is Bret Hart your goat?
Bret Hart was my goat. Well, to kind of like we talked about off mic before, I think that was literally my first experience. My mom was pregnant with me. Was like 8.5 months pregnant with me. She's at a show in the Cow Palace, and this was back when they had to use the payphones. This is in '88. I was born in '88, so she was back there waiting for him to finish a call, and then right before she was gonna make a call, he came out, said hello to her, asked her how I was doing, and congratulated her, put his hand on her stomach, and just said congratulations. And then my mom told me that story, I think when I was like 3 or 4. And I was like, maybe it was destined. And I just noticed like when he first started, like we were seeing the workers, because I think my first memories, I'd probably say of wrestling or watching wrestling was probably like 92, 92, 93. And the pink just stuck out to me. And the fact that like the matches always kept me interested. The music was just awesome. Dude was a technique. It's like I understood before I understood. And then as I got older, I just realized it was like, okay, he wasn't afraid of anyone. He could have a match with anyone.
Yeah.
They were believable. It was a story. I was like being taken on a ride the whole entire time. And it's just like, I knew he stood on business. He said, when he said he was the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be, I believed the fuck out of it because I knew he did. And he showed it in the ring. And it was just, and then later on, just as his character developed and as he got more successful, I was like, man, like this guy is, like I couldn't find a flaw. Everybody shits on his mic skills, which I think is stupid.
Yeah, it's stupid. He was great on the
97 alone tells you 97 alone will tell you that that's bullshit.
Yeah.
If people go back on that, but to me, he's just the GOAT. He set the blueprint or the standard to where actual workers could be champion. Before it was just roided out idiots that screamed.
Yeah. Oh,
we're gonna take you out.
What you gonna do, brother?
Not even just him. Everyone did it.
I know,
it was
the
like
warrior.
Or the fucking Road Warriors was doing it. It was just like, I remember Tino Santana yelling one time. I was like, yo, relax. Like just even watching those, like when we would go to the Blockbuster, the Hollywood videos, and I'd go straight to the wrestling section,
Yep.
and I'm grabbing cassettes in every single match and stuff. Like I'm finding older stuff, and I know so like when he just talked, he was just cool. Everything about him was just cool, calm, collected. From the way that he worked, it was just amazing. And then later on, because like I was telling you, he's actually the person I believe that kickstarted the Attitude Era.
Yeah, you were saying that off podcast, man. You believe he kickstarted the Attitude Era, which I mean,
He was the first one. Well,
that's
he was the
I
first
feel
one.
like you're 100% correct, and then WWE's revisited history puts it all on Austin, but really it was like Austin carried the torch. And
Well, yeah, because Bret left, and then they didn't necessarily have a choice. I'll keep this one quick because I've been waiting to get this off forever.
yes.
He was the first one. Like, okay, he brought the ladder match. He also he was the first normal sized guy because Shawn wouldn't have been champ, Austin wouldn't have been
No,
champ.
none
None
of
of them would have never snipped a belt if it wasn't for Bret. He was the first one to show that it could be done. He kept that company, the New Generation era. He kept that company breathing just off of international presence alone. They were that '94 debacle with the Royal Rumble. They wanted to give that to Luger so bad, and even then they realized that it wasn't a thing. The brother versus the true pivotal storytelling, him and Owen, the long term storytelling with that, to even have it eventually build up into the New Heart Foundation, that was perfect. He was the first one to push Vince on his ass, to call him out. He cussed at him. I think it was it was after, did he lose to Diesel? Can't remember off the top of my head. He was the first one to call Vince out on being the owner, saying like, "Oh, this is bullshit." Said that on TV.
Yeah.
And did all that set up. He gave DX their name, the Canada versus the US storyline.
Yeah.
alone.
And then when they went to Canada, he was like a heel face. He was like like they were cheering for his ass, even though he's a bad guy, you know?
Just literally set the whole standard. If you're talking about cussing on TV, peeling back behind the curtain,
punching Vince McMahon, fucking
exactly that double turn. I mean, he's the one that brought Austin, that told Vince to hire Austin, and then picked him fresh off of Mania 12 to work with him at Survivor Series at Madison Square Garden.
And the double turn too, setting it up where essentially the bad guy, Austin, the villain, is now the most over babyface in the fucking company.
Exactly.
Passing the torch to Austin before Bret eventually leaves the company, and then Austin explodes into fucking.
Bret knew who Mr. McMahon was before everybody else did because he called him on it. And then when he left,
you're 100% right about
this.
He
pulled that shit. What do you say? Bret screwed Bret. That's when we got Mr. McMahon. And when Bret wasn't there, Austin was there next to go and catch it because Shawn was going through what he was going through. And that set it whole up. And everybody,
and after
Shawn
Bret left, no
longer
are we the squeaky clean whatever that you remember. He was the last guy, you know,
and he's the last one. He made Shawn, he made Austin.
Yeah,
he literally gave you your Attitude Era because before people were flipping people off, it was Bret setting that shit up. He built all of that, and when he left, everybody was able to eat.
Yeah, man.
You can't tell me that he didn't start the Attitude Era.
No, we gotta drop you a motherfucking applause for that, dude. There's no 100% correct, dude. I can agree with you more on that for real. I think you're 100% right on that theory. Not even theory. We're gonna call it a fact for real because it's the truth, man. And WWE revises history all the time, which whatever, that's what you're gonna do. And their revisionist version of it is that Austin was spearheaded it with the 316 said I just whooped your ass and all that. But no, you're right. It was Bret Hart. He laid the table. So exactly like you said, everybody else could eat. Here's what Bret Hart has to say about AEW and his appearance at Double or Nothing, where he presented the world title. Here's what he had to say about that. The GOAT.
In Las Vegas for just a personal appearance, and I was doing a signing there. And then they called me and asked me if I would show up at the AEW show. I didn't even know what it was. And they were going to, basically it was like if you walk across the street from your hotel and just walk into the building and walk out to the ring and hold the belt up, we'll pay you X amount of money to do that. And I'm in Vegas anyway.
So there's the GOAT. I think that's why he hasn't been back in AEW since. Not that that's any like.
Well, because he calls it how he fucking sees it. Don't get me wrong. I can be the first to admit, like Brett's like my dad, and he just doesn't know he's my dad because
Yeah.
that's how much I defend this man. And they can call him a little bit bitter, but it's like he has his moments, but he literally tells it like it is. He does not hold shit back. He
Yep.
doesn't care who it's for. Like the integrity to just speak truth at every way, shape, and form. Because with that shit was random. I watched that show. It was random as hell. I had no idea he was coming there. I could tell by that music, that bullshit music they put together. At least from what I remember when I rewatched it, they tried to do his music, and it just kind of seemed weird, and it just
Yeah.
seemed through together there, like in
Yeah.
that moment. So I mean, yeah, if you're gonna pay me, shit, I walk across the street.
Yeah.
He did offer because I think they were trying to bring him in to be a manager when it was like FTR or doing some FTR was pushing for that.
What's happening, Pro Wrestle Times listeners? Phil Marks here, and I just had to interrupt myself babbling for 1 second to talk about Pro Wrestle Times' affiliate partnership with Fanatics and WWE Shop. That's right, you can get your favorite WWE superstar merch, tees, caps, hoodies. We're on the road to WrestleMania, folks. There's so much at WWE Shop, and if you use our affiliate link below, not only will you be directly supporting your favorite WWE superstar, but you'll be supporting PWT as well, and you'll be supporting your drip. Check your reflection, it'll look like perfection. And did I forget to mention, you'll grab all the attention by clicking PWT's official WWE Shop affiliate link below and get you some digs now. Let's get back to the show. Okay, so moving along, I got a couple more things that I want to talk to you about, Marty, before I let you go.
For sure, man.
I do a segment, and it is called Dave Meltzer Dumb Moment of the Week.
My favorite.
So I got a few of these here. Are you excited for this? Most people are excited
yeah.
when I do this with them.
Oh, I love this. I love this part.
Okay. So Dave Meltzer, sorry, it's just too funny. So at Julian Weeks, I'm not sure if you follow that gentleman.
Yeah, I follow Julian. He's good people.
Yeah, he's a good guy. And he tweets out, "What is this?" And he's got a screen grab of Dave Meltzer. So at Dave Meltzer WON tweets out, like, what? Oh my God. He tweets out, "Thanks to everyone for their participation in my social experiment based on responses since I put all tweets up at the same time." So hold on. It's like everything he says, you got to digest it. Hold on. "Thanks to everyone for their participation in my social experiment based on responses since I put all tweets up at the same time."
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, he's just such a confusing weirdo. People mad. So this is Dave saying this. People mad because WWE will possibly be the #1 show on network TV this week. 0. People mad because AEW had a good rating Wednesday. 18. People mad about a match they didn't see being praised. 20. So fan toxicity rating is highest for people who are mad about something they didn't see. Lowest for the anti-WWE tribalists. We'll do this again, and thanks for your participation.
Cap.
Oh my God, dude.
Do we have screen grabs that make sure that all these tweets did legitimately go up at the same time? Because I was waiting for you to say, so the tweets could go up at the same time. That's what it's looking like. But if the tweets don't go up at the same time, the tweets might go up at the same time. Not 100% sure, but what I've heard is the tweets will go up at the exact same time.
Dude, for real. And like, Dave, you're in a bubble. We're all in our bubbles on social media. You fucking Melvin, you block me. I would go in there and tell you the real shit, but you block me for doing that. So like,
I haven't gotten blocked yet.
Jesus, man, you're gonna be my guy, Marty. You're gonna have to get me screen grabs of this fool. I don't think I'll ever run out of material with this segment, though. I mean, it's so like, what do you think of that? He's keeping score on bot fucking accounts on X.
Oh my God, he sounds like TK.
It's all conspiratorial with them. It's all some fucking Alex Jones. Yeah.
Everybody's out to get us. Like, okay, I can open the app right now, and I guarantee you I won't be able to scroll up more than twice before I see some sort of discourse about somebody being mad about WWE doing something. Mm-hmm. That's cap. Yeah. Anybody with an app can just go in your search bar, type in WWE, and then just look. Just look at the tweets. That's cap. Oh, like how long did he keep it up for? How long? Like what? Those numbers are relatively low considering his following count. If those were the analytics that he got, I would expect those numbers to be a lot higher.
Well, he
And
blocks
then
everyone that he disagrees with, and then and then other people just don't even want to look at what he says because he's so goddamn ridiculous. So that's why those numbers are low as fuck. You mean to tell me 20 people got mad? Zero, absolutely zero. Fuck out of here.
Most of the time they get mad is because of shit he's saying.
I know.
That's what I see the most. The math is not mathing. That's cap.
Yeah.
Social experiment. No, it seems like you was tweeting some dumb shit, and you were trying to.
That verifiably didn't see the match. So you asked each of these people, Dave, if they actually watched it, and then you took their word for it on Twitter, if they seen it or not,
God.
and they all respond. All 20 verifiably confirmed to you that they didn't watch a match or you just like it's just like, what are we even doing here? What the fuck are we doing here? At Meltzer said what, which is a great follow, man. One of my favorite accounts.
I love that account.
Yeah, I might reach to him to come on the podcast because I don't know how he does this. This guy like endures the insanity so that we don't have to. But, so he has a couple things here. So where do we even start? February 19th, he puts out he responds to that little test, that little scientific experiment Dave did there. And Meltzer said what? Responds to it and says, Dave is setting traps on the Bird app so that when you criticize him rating the Osprey match 6.25 stars, he can dismiss you as a WWE troll. Boom, nailed it. That's exactly what he did. And then he quote tweeted this. So Meltzer said what? Quote tweeted himself to follow up on this, as he does. And it's a screen grab of Dave Meltzer responding to someone. So we're getting Inception here, but there's an account here, Dallas Cowboys some shit. They say they're talking to Dave Meltzer and they say, Dave, do you ever feel any responsibility for the tribalism amongst wrestling fans? Obviously never your intent, but you have a large and influential platform and voice in pro wrestling circles, etc. Dave Meltzer responds to this and goes, I feel my job is to point it out and hopefully educate people about the hatred. Ignoring it only makes it worse. So, and then Meltzer says what response to that and goes, Dave, are you really lecturing people about educating them after you had one of the most embarrassing weeks of your entire career and were exposed like never before, which he was with that Rossio Gawa shit. And
God, what's this bullshit?
And he was again with this story here that fucking Dave put out saying, so this is per Wrestle Features now. They said, so this is a quote from Dave at the Mania press conference in Las Vegas. Levesque talked about guys going into business for themselves with the idea Rock was going against the planned script. Later, they filmed a segment which didn't air on television, but was all over social media, where Levesque and Rock went nose to nose and actually challenged each other for a match at Mania. Now, I'm going to stop there. Marty, what Dave is describing was a video from 2013 when The Rock went face-to-face with Triple H backstage on a Raw. He saw this video in his algorithm and thought that was a filmed segment that they did in Vegas, and then he reported it, dude. He reported this shit. They went nose
hair in 2013.
Well, it was right when he shaved his head. He went nose to nose with fucking Rock. You know what maybe it wasn't 2013, but it was like almost a decade ago. Do you know what I'm saying? And this guy and Dave reported this shit, and he goes on to say, although it was and this is what he says, although it was they would love to each other before, like, what the fuck is he talking about? But he says a giant crowd at WrestleMania without the idea it was the specific one. Given Levesque's heart issues, such a match would seem to be impossible, and virtually everyone believed that to be the case. And then Wrestle Features goes on to follow up and say Dave Meltzer has since edited this week's Observer and simply deleted this report. It was entirely made up. He just made it up because in his algorithm, he saw a video of like 2015 or whatever when Triple H and The Rock went nose to nose.
Where are his friends at? Like Brian, where you do a show with him? Where are you at, man?
Oh my God, dude. I think he's been trying to check him, but he gets so much heat from their little bubble of freaks, man.
Because like I feel like Alvarez has a little bit more integrity with his stuff, or at least he's like more open about the things about his biases. But I when I do see it, because I don't really tap in with it too much, when I do see it, he'll at least kind of question Dave or at least play devil's advocate. So I respect that. I would just think in that moment, like, okay, who's proofreading this? Nobody's, usually there's an editor, like somebody getting in there to kind of check these things out. That that doesn't make sense.
He's the editor. He's the fucking, you can just see by the dreb he fucking writes. Like,
Is that where Tony Khan got the idea to do that shit from?
I don't know,
Did
man.
you think he got it from Meltzer? Because that Rossio Gower shit that you were talking about too, that just
Yeah.
came down to the fact that dude was he told them, like, to my knowledge, Stardom Talent lets them know like 3 months in advance if they're coming and going. And if this person was their Triple H and was starting his own thing, how is it poaching talent? How is that any different than what Rocky Romero
It's
was doing for Tony Khan and all them? Because last I checked, they usually signed Ospreay while he's still in contract. You're getting all these other people, everybody leaves. Like it was just like a funnel
you're
system. You
spot on.
completely
Yeah.
depleted in New Japan to go ahead and do that, and no one says a fucking word. And now he has a job in the front office. I know it's a little bit off topic, but that just kind of spurred a thought.
No, but
No one's talking
it is
about that.
because Rossi, because Dave got caught like a year ago. He reported some fake shit about Stardom and Rossi that was given to him that was completely fake.
And
then
Rossi hasn't talked any shit. He hasn't talked any shit
exactly,
about
but then
Stardom, about nothing.
Tony Khan's talking shit on him and dropping gifs, going like
Oh yeah, I
insinuating,
saw bye bye
oh,
Rossi.
the
It's like,
Fed,
dude, you
they're
don't even
milking,
know.
they're shilling to the Fed and stuff, like meaning, and it's like the
He's starting
fact he
his
does
own
that
company.
Fed shit, like the weirdos do, the Fed.
You weren't
Oh,
at
the Fed.
WrestleMania, Tony Khan? I think I went to a Mania once, and I've seen that you were there.
Oh, you
You
did.
were you were there fanboying. Yes, he's been to Manias. He's been to these shows. He was at a SummerSlam. Like he's been to these shows. You were there first. You started your own thing. Cool. Keep in mind,
The
it's
Fed. He
the
wants to be the
hypocrisy.
Fed so bad.
He does, but he's being more like World Championship Wrestling in more ways than you fucking realize. And it's the simple fact that just caring about cage match ratings and what Dave says, it's like this is the problem. This is the fucking problem. But it's like we move the goalposts. If Triple H is signing Julia or whoever, everybody has a fucking issue with it. If Rossi's going to start his own company, which he has said straight up, yeah, I'm starting my own company. I told him that that's what I was doing. I didn't like the way this was going. The girls didn't like the way this was going. How am I poaching? You're gonna just let me go? Okay, cool. Like, but no one says anything about Rocky. The whole basis of AEW was built off of something that was taken from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Like when Cody saw Meltzer's tweet, because Meltzer was tweeting some dumb shit, and Cody's like, all right, bet. And then they put that shit together. A lot of the cachet came from Cody doing that. And that's also why he probably got a lot of hate, minus him booking himself in the corners with that never for a world title shit. But you knew that was never going to be long standing, but that was the problem. It wasn't a sustainable model because they're not able to take as much. Because if New Japan finally just says fuck it and we're not doing anything with you, we're closing the forbidden door because you're taking staff, you're taking every wrestler under the planet. Like the whole elite thing was built off of the back of the Bullet Club, which was started by New Japan. All of the Bucks' best matches, all of Kenny's best matches were booked by Ghetto and either involved
100%.
Okada or other people. That's why it's their shadows of themselves or haven't been able to reach that same height because they just took everything from New Japan. You bit the Bullet Club completely because they were background characters in Bullet Club, both when Balor was there, or Devitt was there, and when AJ was there. And then when he left, they just pushed Kenny up, which he did decently well. But
He was good. I loved him in that. I still
oh
fucked
no,
with Bullet
he
Club
was
heavy then too. Like,
yeah, it was awesome, but it was the fact that when they left, it's like, oh, Bullet Club is dead. Okay, so we're gonna rape and pillage everything from Bullet Club, and we're gonna take all the talent. And then the first show, that all-out first show, was basically majority New Japan wrestlers anyway, because they were doing you a fucking favor. And with ROH at the time, don't get me started on what the fuck they did with ROH. It like that's a whole nother thing, but it's just this simple fact. It's just like, okay, Meltzer says something stupid, and then it spurs into something, but then they go to him as like this think tank for these
yeah,
ideas, and it just doesn't fucking work. And we're seeing it because the highs that are there, it's just the new car smell's gone. It's like what, 4, almost 5 years now, and you got to show and fucking prove. And now you have to have some semblance of individuality now, because you can't bite Bullet Club. You can't really steal a whole bunch of WWE guys, because when you do, you don't know what the fuck to do with them.
Yeah, people are over that. People don't care when they do that.
I forgot Edge was still there.
Bro,
And thank God for fucking Christian Cage. Thank God for Christian Cage, because he's like the only one that understands how to like turn it into like MJF Fez. Horrible fucking idea. Hangman with any kind of title just does not fucking work. And you know that was the first thing they were trying to do, and then they pulled out on that with Jericho, because this is a WWE guy, but
yeah,
no one ever wants to talk about these things.
no,
We
they
can't.
don't. You can't, or you get. I mean, yeah, or you get shitted on. Like, and all I'm saying is, look at AEW's World Champ, man. That was the fucking like one of the hottest eras of NXT. Samoa Joe is on top, you know. So
Oh yeah,
that's a-
01 with him and Cross. Oh my! And keep on. Did you notice
all of
how
it, man.
like
Fuck yeah, great
he
matches
choked
with
out
everyone.
all of the current roster? Like I think the Creed brothers was in there, Trick was in there, Braun Breaker, because they were security trying to stop Joe from getting to Cross. Somebody
Yeah.
posted a clip of that, and I was like, oh my god, it was the future right there.
Yeah,
He
dude.
choked shit out of Adam Cole. Like, look what they did to Adam Cole. Like, oh my god! And then they tried to do this with undisputed era, but not undisputed. Oh my god!
And then now they're left with Dave stooging to Dave Meltzer and having him shilling for them, and
For what?
for me
Like-
to clip it and call it Dave Meltzer. That was Dave Meltzer's dumb moment of the week, folks.
Yeah, so I don't
Go
know if
ahead.
he said it was the dumbest moment of the week, but in theory, it's actually not the dumbest moment of the week, because it's really dumb. So it could be the dumbest moment of the week, but we're not 100% sure. But things could change.
Yeah,
Things could possibly
the
change.
week ain't over yet. It'll probably get one upped as it does almost every goddamn time.
Oh, now let's go to Brian's grandma. Blah blah blah. Blah.
Yeah. So did you catch Raw this week? Did you
Yes.
happen to okay, so anything that sticks out in your mind about Raw, anything that you took away from it that was you were like, yeah, this is good, this is money, this is go. I thought the Raw personally was phenomenal. I thought the only
Agreed.
segment that kind of sucked, not to shit on the ladies, but I felt like that the ladies one was kind of it started out really well, then it started losing steam really fast, and then Nia came out and just saved it and made it epic. So
Yes,
yeah,
that was great. That was great. I mean, I have my problems. Well, my main issue, at least in terms of with the ladies, because I thought with Dunn being gone that we would get rid of, okay, I'm talking, okay, I'm going to interrupt you. Now I'm going to
Yeah.
interrupt you. Now I'm going to interrupt you. And then doing that, it was just running a lot of the same, because I feel like they fucked up with the whole Rumble thing. I'm a pro and proud Balian.
Mhm.
Not just because she's also from the Bay Area, but it's just a simple fact. I think that she should have been the one to win the Royal Rumble. Because putting her in I mean, they could have did the Elimination Chamber thing, but this shoehorning Becky thing, like that was my immediate fucking problem with shoehorning Becky
Yeah.
into that whole thing. She has no heat. Like Nia has been stunning you repeatedly. Like build up to that. Let that be the match. I don't think there aren't as many people, and maybe I'm in the minority. There aren't as many people this fucking excited to see Becky Lynch come in and dethrone somebody who's over just so they could shove this man gimmick in our fucking face for the 5th year in a row. Like the same heat that Roman used to get or that Charlotte gets, Becky should be getting, because she's doing the exact same thing. She's not hot at all. I don't even believe at this, I know they're going to do it, but I don't even believe that you could beat Nia at this point, because they finally built Nia up properly.
I know.
So then trying to
Nia's been
force
so
that-
good.
She's been great. She's been great. And for the trolls on there, she hasn't hurt anyone recently. So that's good.
Yeah, I guess that's great for Nia, not hurting.
Yeah, but it's just okay. We're just shoehorning Becky. Like I'm supposed to. Just tell us that it's going to be Becky. If that was the case, you should have had her win the Rumble. But
Yeah,
even then,
I agree
it's
with
not
that.
believable.
Yeah, I'm on the rope with that one, because I like that Bayley won. There was that moment there where the crowd's pointing with her. She deserves it. It was a great
Oh, yeah.
Rumble match too. But the whole thing is like, yeah, dude, the even without Bayley winning the chamber, Bayley and Io could just beef with each other and go for that title. Like that match is just there because of their relationship and this all the time you've invested in Damage Control. The Royal Rumble doesn't have to be the thing that gives Bayley the confidence to finally stand up to Io, who's been like shit talking her on the side and stuff. That
but Bayley
story's
deserved that
always
moment.
been there no matter what. So exactly, Becky should have won the Rumble so that, because then Nia can fuck her up 100 times, and then
Exactly.
and
It
then
won't
Becky
matter.
always has that match against Rhea, but then also she has the looming threat of Nia. If she does get through Rhea, well, Nia knows she's been fucking her up and she can take. I don't know. I agree with you on that. I think
But is she really, do we really believe that though? Like, I don't think that that Becky should have won the Rumble either, because it's just not
I don't
hot.
think
It's
she
just,
should have. No, I don't like either of those choices, actually, to be honest. Or no, I like that Bayley won it, but I
I'm
just
all
feel
for
like
Bayley winning.
storyline wise, they're backwards. You know, like it's almost like
No,
storyline Becky should have won it.
tell us you want Becky. Tell us you want Becky, because I'm like, why? So she's going to do the exact same shit that Charlotte
Do you
gets
think she
bullshit
beats
back
Rhea
with.
though? Do you think Becky beats Rhea?
If they're pushing it this fucking much, yes.
Oh god damn it! No, god
If
damn it!
if they're pushing it, because if they're going to do the right business, then it needs to be Rhea, because it's not like her reign has been all that great anyway.
I
So
know.
yeah, I mean, and who knows, maybe it'll improve. But she's been doing great shit with the Judgment Day, and now they're building up credible people like Nia and or other people that can come in there. I feel like they're shoehorning Becky into it because it's the man and she gets a good pop, but it's like, the
Yeah.
matches have been subpar lately. It's just she's doing the exact same thing that she criticized Charlotte for. Exact same thing. And she already
Yeah.
did it to Bianca. And we already seen what happened with that. And then everybody turned. And then we had to build that back up. I don't think that she's it. You build this up for someone else and then for Rhea to win, because I think Rhea should retain in most cases. But Bayley getting this win is because she deserved it, because she's literally the foundation and backbone.
Yeah. She's gonna win at
She's held it down.
Mania. Huge baby
She
face
needs,
pop moment. Can't
but
wait.
but do you really believe that Becky should win this? Because
I don't,
they're
man. I think
killing.
Rhea should beat her. I think Rhea should not lose that belt. I think she should put that fucking. That's the first ever reign with that belt. She should just she's not lost any momentum at all, and it could turn. Okay, because there's the rumor that they might, and this could all be dirt sheet nonsense, but the talks are starting. Like they might merge Roman and Seth's belts. Like Endeavor
No.
and TKO are interested in having one set of fucking belts. Like here's the heavyweight title. Here's the so if they do that with the women's title, I want to my fantasy mark booking. Let me hit some fucking X-Files right here. This is my fantasy mark booking. Is if it's me and I'm looking at the long game, Rhea's just she's such a star, and you have that other women's belt. You have her defend her belt for so long, win the Money in the Bank, and then have the belt and the briefcase, and then you can carry that for like 6 months to a year, and then have her win the other women's belt down the line and merge them together. If they're trying to merge all the belts together, which is what the rumor is, that's the rumors
They
I'm hearing.
just separated them though, and this gave new
know.
ones to differentiate. I would hate that. That's like
Me too. But the brand split though is like meaningless, and we always come back to this topic where it's like, well, around WrestleMania time it gets, and I like that. That's okay. But on the same token, it's been before the Rumble and before the road to WrestleMania. They've really just kind of been like, oh well, Cody's super hot right now, so he'll be on SmackDown. So it's just like, I think if you're going to have the two sets of belts, you got to really separate the rosters. And also you got to think too, like the Judgment Day have had those tag belts forever.
I almost forgot.
And I know exactly, but then the Usos had them forever, and then Owens and Sammy, and they're two separate belts, but every other division got separated by their own belts. So it's like, what the fuck is going on with those? Like, we need an answer to that by WrestleMania. I want the tag belts to merge them or separate them again and have a world tag belts and a WWE tag belts and separate them.
I mean, it's more merchandise. That's more merchandise. Maybe they can, my thing is, okay, merge the tag belts. I think they should keep the women's titles separate, because I feel like the roster, like where they're hitting right now.
Yeah, there's so many women. There's so many good women. Yeah,
exactly. My wife thinks that there should be a mid card title for the women.
I think before they do that, they just gotta really focus on developing and making the women's tag division meaningful, and then I'm right there. I'm right there with your wife. But until then, I don't. They got to fucking establish, like, okay, here are, because besides Caden Carter and Katana Chance, who are, to me, I'm like, build the division around them, like, Jesus Christ, and Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, those four, and then you have
ran
like
NXT.
And then you have the Kabuki Warriors. Okay, give me like 3 more teams like that are like, I always say this on the pod, like heavy machinery but women. So like Katana Carter and Caden Carter and Katana Chance, they changed their names. I think the one girl was Casey Catanzaro or whatever. Yeah, so sorry. They're the first women's tag team that's really like a gimmick together. They're like these rave chicks, you know? They're like they're like the Rockers, but like the female version of that. They're
EDM rockers.
Yeah, like we need, like, bring the Iconics back. You know, I'm all about it. Like, let's get like a few more women's teams like that are teams and not just Tegan Knox and Natalia. Like, nobody gives a fuck about that. Candice LeRae and Indy, nobody gives a fuck about. Let's be honest. Like, so let's just get potential. They do, but I just I don't know, man. I feel like when they come out, it's like NXT. It's like, exactly, go to NXT, but then they don't have a women's tag division there anymore. That's what I mean. They absorbed it. Ronda left. It's bullshit. I get why Sasha walked out sometimes when that's what they're doing with the women's tag division. It's like, God damn it.
100%.
Yeah, I'd be pissed too. But yeah, so the women really stood out though to me there. But one segment on Raw, that went down, and so there was Netflix. They were in Anaheim, so there was Netflix executives all sitting in the front enjoying beers. You could see them having a great time. And then they had what's his name, Callum, I forget his name. He's a boxer that Dana White's personally promoting. So he's they had him in
boxing. Okay.
And then they have Michael Chandler call out Conor McGregor live on WWE Raw.
Like, that wasn't playing. Did he ever respond? Conor's not quiet.
No, I think Conor posted. No, I don't think he even responded. Actually, he didn't respond whatsoever. But I don't know. Chandler's getting memed because like Conor did do an Ultimate Fighter with him, and he has responded to Chandler in the past. So people are just sort of like, you know, like memeing the responses and like, who the fuck is that guy?
Let's go.
Yeah, but here's what
he
Chandler.
He that microphone too. That was bullshit.
Yeah, here's him snapping. Samantha Irvin hands him the mic.
What's up, Anaheim? Oh, hey, you are now in the presence of the most entertaining UFC fighter on the planet.
Okay.
Hey, now there's a man from Ireland that's been making me wait for way
Dude stands up on his chair.
Yeah.
too long. And I still got one dude on my mind. Conor McGregor, get your candy ass back to the octagon. We got some unfinished business, boys. God bless. I'll see you at the top.
Sound like he was on that booger sugar.
Yeah, dude. So I am a big MMA fan. I love Michael Chandler. I loved him before he was in the UFC. And to me,
he was awesome.
Yeah, I love him. And to me, I think if I'm him, it's good that he's sowing these seeds because he ultimately doesn't have a lot of fights left. And he decided, he made a decision about a year ago. I'm just waiting for Conor to be ready to fight me, and then I'll fight him for the big bag. And then that will probably be his retirement fight, if I had to bet. Because he just goes to war, bangs it out, and he got into the UFC a little later. That being said, and he is one of the most exciting fighters. So now he's setting it up where, okay, he could come into WWE one day, who knows? And Saudi Arabia throws a lot of money around, and they could maybe do something in the WWE now that UFC is connected. Now, WWE's done lots of stuff with UFC, like UFC fighters, shown them on camera, all of that stuff in the past. But what do you make of this? Like, dude, like you said, he snatched the mic, he snapped. He's screaming at the top of his lungs.
I'm Ricochet. He might have to see me. There's levels to that. Him scream. He looked coked out, but then again, in his pressers, because I've watched a lot of his fights too. He's consistent. I'll give him that. I've heard some things where some of the casuals were just kind of, who don't like MMA, were just kind of weirded out or there's those people in MMA spaces that like complain that he's doing so for pro wrestling, even though like they turn on their pro wrestling switch to sell these fights. They use a belt to symbolize their champion. You know what I mean? It's hand in hand. I think if I highly doubt they would give him a mic, like a hot mic, if he's just going to go into business for himself and just say that. Like I'm pretty sure that
Yeah,
Dana
there
and
were
everybody
there were
was aware
photos
of
of
it.
him backstage chopping it up with Triple H and whatnot. So
They knew, yeah, they knew what was coming with that. I guess they probably just didn't think he'd be so juiced about it.
yeah.
But um, I know Michael Cole just had no idea who dude was and just looked like annoyed as fuck. They showed him. He was just, and I guess he took off his shirt, but they didn't put it on camera. Michael
Oh
Cole
my
just
God.
looked like, who the fuck is this guy?
That's what I wanted to ask you. Like, do you so this is obviously like the crowd popped, but if he wasn't there to say Conor McGregor, that would have fell flatter than shit. It's because he
Yeah.
called out McGregor. And like everyone in the MMA world already knows that. We know that Endeavor wants to start crossing over WWE and UFC fans again. But it's hard
Yeah.
because like everyone on the MMA side and MMA Twitter and in the MMA YouTube world and everything, they're all like, yo, that was cringe as fuck. Everyone in wrestling though is putting it over. I'm putting it over. I think it's
What did Ariel say? Because he floats on both sides.
he was just popping. He was like, this is incredible, this is awesome. Like and he's just like, this is awesome. It's an MMA guy on, like, we need to see more crossovers. And I believe that too. Like, I don't know, MMA and pro wrestling have always been bound together and have always shared weird mixed rules in certain organizations and things like that. In some matches,
I feel like pro wrestling gave MMA its structure.
dude, it did. And like pro wrestlers were like so I made this video a while ago and it's about Eddie Bravo. He's the 10th planet black belt, and he was on Joe Rogan's podcast and he talked about how Matsuya Maeda way back was he would fight people at like circuses and like pro wrestling. He would like stretch guys for real, right? And they were telling him, yo, you can't do that. Like, you can't be doing that anymore. Like, people know who you are, da 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 da. And so he put on a fucking lucha mask and he went down to Mexico and started stretching people. And he's one of the people who helped like create lucha. And he's like fucking one of the first like, jujitsu, judo fucking practitioners who was like really stretching guys and stuff. And I don't know how fully real that is, but Maeda was under a mask wrestling. Like, it's always been sewn at the hips, man. You see like people like Bob Backlund and shit would compete in those like those like shoot style, that stuff. And I loved all that. That was always, that's why Samoa Joe's one of my all-time favorites. Shout out Samoa Joe. He's like a shoot guy. Like, he's like the last guy you'd ever want coming after you, staring down a hallway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, dude. So it's like, and he's for real. You see him in those matches he's had in the past that were like straight up shoots with people, with Necro Butcher and guys
or him and Angle on a couple of those early TNA matches. Those were
brilliant.
Some shoot fights. Some headbutts were real.
Yeah, dude. So it's like I have a deep affinity for that. So I'm down, man. Cross them over
For it.
as long as they do it tastefully. But if Chandler wasn't there to go, Conor McGregor, that shit would have been awful. It would have been terrible, man. Would have fell flat on its ass. So the last thing I want to talk to you about is like, what are your thoughts and hopes for WrestleMania? We're on the road to WrestleMania. I'm sure I'll talk to you before then, but just as it sits now with the Chamber coming up this weekend, and then, which we kind of know, I feel like we know, like Drew's going to win the Chamber, and then and then the women's Chamber match though, is Becky in the match? Yeah, so she's gonna win the Chamber. Yeah, so we kind of know the outcome. We already know.
And I hate it.
So, but I'm watching anyways. I might not get up to watch it immediately. I might just like record it and catch it after, or look it up after, whatever I got to do. But
it's 2 a.m. I might be up anyway.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. I'm always up anyway. So, but like, I'm definitely I'm gonna stay off social media till I watch it for myself for sure. But the thing is like, we kind of know the outcome. So just as it sits now, Rumble, Chamber, leading up to Mania, what are your hopes for WrestleMania? What are like some scenarios or matches that you think or you hope will play out, whatever? And then like, what will come after Mania as well? Like, as far as like because like Mania's dope, but it's always like the reset time. So what do you hope like comes
Yeah.
out of this road to WrestleMania for the WWE going forward?
Well, as far as the chamber goes, I know they're going to give it to Becky, and I'm just going to call her Charlotte 2.0 because they're going to force feed us that because that's what Rhea needs. Not really, but with that, after whatever happens with that match, I'm hoping that Rhea gets put over because it's deserving. She gets put over and then she beats Becky, but then I'm scared because the way she's doing her promos, they say that she has to take out because she gasps for air anytime she has to talk like in a mic. Like now you won't be able to unhear it. Anytime she talks yeah, it's annoying as shit. I'm hoping that she puts on a great match because don't get me wrong, like I respect Becky as a competitor and but she's not exactly the greatest worker. Like out of the four horsewomen, she's the worst.
Yep. No, I agree with that.
She's the worst. So like I just see her and Rhea having that match being chaos. Like I believe in Rhea and her ring ability, but I'm just like you're asking a lot. That's like asking a lot of her. So I'm just hoping that the match isn't shit. Like and that Rhea wins. Like I just don't want it to be shit because Becky has to have a really good dance partner who is usually, like Bianca or like a Sasha or a Bailey or a Charlotte. She's usually in there with somebody that can like, make diamonds out of shit. So I'm praying that like that goes well. As far as the men's chamber, like this whole shit with Seth Rollins, like, respectfully, like at that press conference, he looked like the most loyal side chick ever in
You
that whole
think
moment.
that's what people are saying? You think he got kind of bullied around there?
Oh, of course he did. He looked like because he was like for what he was saying, I was like, you know what,
Big
damn.
brothered, I guess
I
is the word I'm looking
yeah,
for.
oh yeah, he got stunned for sure
Yeah.
because that whole thing was like okay when he made his case to Cody, I was like, oh shit, that actually does make sense. And it's like okay, it leaves room for Roman to continue to break that record or set up that Rock match, and then Cody can then go after him and they can unify the belts or at least tease it. You know what I mean? Like they could
Yeah.
always get back to that. We're a year later from last Mania, and here we are again. Like I could have seen that happening, but and then the only Punk getting hurt is like shoehorning in Drew, but Drew kind of also reminds me right now of like Bret in '97 a little bit, like where he was just on the sense that well that he studies Bret's matches, so we'll give him props for that, but in the sense that he's the bad guy, but what he's telling you is true.
Yeah.
Just the way he's going about it is just like less to be desired.
Yeah.
He hasn't said anything that isn't true for the most part,
No.
or that you can't like at least see. So it's like I respect it, but at that same time, it's like you're throwing in Randy and all these other people. It makes sense. I think it's going to be Drew. Kind of hope it's not because
Well, then who would you pick?
depending on
Who would you pick? Who would you pick then? Sorry, not to cut you off, but
no. I'm trying to think like because I don't really want it to be Drew, but I guess we're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place.
yeah,
Like
right.
honestly,
Like that's
I
where
would
I'm
love to
at
see
too. It's
Randy
like,
do it.
well, Randy versus Seth though. That's the rematch. I don't know. That was
Oh,
amazing.
that match they had at 31 was awesome. I was there for that.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just like, is that what they do at this Mania? I'm thinking
Because
like
I'm
we're
scared
gonna get
about
like
his knee.
Randy Logan Paul or something like that.
Because my thing is I'm scared about like Seth's knee. Because like
Yeah.
I've torn those muscles before, and it's like okay, he might be ready, but it doesn't mean he's going to be in tip top shape. And that slower pace and the storytelling they could have in that match, it'll be more conceivable to have him retain.
Yeah.
That like I'm just like I could
I
see
think
Randy
Drew
doing it.
beats
I
him.
know it's
I think
good.
Drew
Oh yeah,
stamps out Seth at this Mania. That's if I had to put money on anything, but
100%. No, I'd bet my house on that. I like, especially after the whole thing with like the way Cody and Roman just made him look, and The Rock just made him look stupid. It was to the point to where he was stepping in to defend Cody when him and Cody don't even rock with each other like that.
yeah.
Cody has beat you every time. You have no wins.
No.
You have no wins. He's made you look stupid, and then you pleaded your case, which made sense. And then it looked like he was going to go with you, just to show that you're still not important. Like they all made him look stupid on there. And then he's gimping over there with his knee. You can't do that. You can't do that. That's wrong. Why would he do it? Like
That's
he just
bullshit.
it's bullshit. He just doesn't. I understand that he's trying to be the workhorse and give that belt credibility. And he's done well, even though Shinsuke should have beat him.
Yeah, I was
He's done
feeling shit
well.
too there.
Oh God, but it was like it's gotta go. It's mid. It's like when Hangman had the title. It's like the potential of it was there. It was cool at first, and then you just realize it was just flat. And
Yeah.
then you find yourself thinking that he's going to lose against every other opponent just because it seems like it would be a better story. I don't see him beating Drew because, and then if Drew keeps it until Punk comes back, I'm assuming that's what they'll do because I think that the hot potato title switches. I think that'll probably come to a close, and that'll
Yeah.
probably be done. So I mean, I guess that's what's going on with that. I mean, also what happened at the end of Raw with the Usos. I know that I guess
Mm.
Jay was supposed to win, but I guess they switched it up, and then like the whole Brock thing and everything that's going on with that, they had to kind of pivot and switch.
Oh wow.
And yeah, so it's like that's what I was hearing is that up until like six that day, like Jay was supposed to win, but then I guess they
Holy
pivoted. I guess
shit, man.
the Usos are going to get their one-on-one Mania match like they've always wanted.
They
So
should.
I see that match being fire.
Yeah, it will be.
But yeah, but then it makes me think the part that I'm most which for something I think that that's going to happen now. That those things are pretty cut and paste. It's just the what are they doing? I want Jade and Bianca to be utilized better. Let's not rush into that match right off rip.
Yep.
I think that we could do something separate with that, like maybe come up with stakes for who gets. Is TLC the first one after?
Mm,
No, what, I'm trying. No, that's in
it's
July.
Backlash, right? In Paris or no? Am I
Backlash.
wrong about that?
Might be. I think it's Backlash. Like it, whatever the undercard is for either match needs to set up the stakes because it's going to, like you said, Mania is going to be a restart. At that point, you're just setting up the next contender, and then you can tell fresh stories. I was like, what I want to see is I need the tag titles to be in. I don't know. My wife thinks that it's going to be Awesome Truth taking the titles off of Judgment Day, which
Mm.
would be fine in the short term. I'd be cool with that in the short term. But I mean, if we're building up off of that, I have no idea how the Jimmy and Jay match would go. I mean, typical booking, it would be Jay winning. Although I think for better storytelling and being able to extend it, since you just spurred it out of nowhere, maybe Jimmy winning. That'd be just me.
Okay, I was
Just
thinking about that the other day, like yesterday. I was like, dude, Jimmy's got to go over because Jay's already so over and like a big loss. But like, also, you want to give that moment to Jay who earns it. But like, it's not like they're just sleeping on Jimmy, like, oh, fuck him. Like, it's a new WWE. They're obviously telling him, like, you're a position player. You'll get your time. We got to build it correctly. So maybe, because there's got to be like, there's going to be babyface feel good moments. There's got to be some real nasty heel shit going into the new, and Jimmy
like
winning.
Roman winning, still want it, still want it.
I think
I know
Roman's
it's
gonna
probably
win.
not
I
going to
think
happen.
Roman's
I
gonna
think Roman's
win.
winning.
Yeah.
Well, I'm all for the tribal chief winning, but if Jimmy wins, then Jay can maybe he'll question himself, and then we can set it up for him and Gunther to run that back.
Well, exactly. That's the thing. Jimmy and Jay, that's like multiple matches.
Mhm.
That's like a whole storyline right there of him trying to get through to his brother again. Like that's
Yeah.
months of shit. Do you think the Mania is gonna miss Punk and Brock and those characters? Do you think they're gonna try and pull out a Stone
Brock.
Cold and an Undertaker or something?
I'm sure that there'll be an appearance for the quick little pop, but even then, that's like transitional stuff in between matches. I think I'm I've been tired of Brock for a long time. I think the him and Cody feud after that, I was like, okay, I'm kind of over this. Like I don't think I care for this very much. So as far as but Punk being gone, the him and Seth they had that served up on a platter.
Mm-hmm.
Like even more than Cody winning the Rumble, getting back to Roman. That was like that had stakes, that had history, that had like bad blood. That I think that's what's going to hurt Mania the most is having to wait for that and then having to pivot into Drew being the foil for him and then eventually getting it back to Seth, which means you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
feel like it would have held more weight if Seth had the belt for Punk to take it off of him versus Punk eventually dethroning Drew and then we
Yeah.
have to figure out some way to get back to that. I feel like that's what's going to hurt. And I mean, as long as they're allowed to tear the house down, like maybe give the match some stakes, like maybe gimmick the match. I don't know. like
Yeah,
give them a gimmick match for him and Seth. But then again, with his knee, it's just like fuck. He could just
yeah.
easily just make it worse.
And you could argue too that the Seth and Punk match is always there with or without a belt. Like a belt doesn't make that match a match, you know? Like they just have real heat that people want to see play out.
Yeah,
But on the same token to that though, it's like this is what I heard that the original plan was always McIntyre was gonna go take on Seth at Mania, but then when Punk came back at the Rumble, at
Survivor
Survivor
Series?
Series, yeah,
Yeah.
it fucked that plan up, and then they now have, and then Punk got injured at the Rumble, so they've just pivoted back to Drew Seth being the thing, but we
Did he
also
sign
have
back?
to. Well, the thing is to fill that slot though as well. We're getting the tag match probably between Seth and Cody and them on night one, right? Like to fill that gap of like no Brock and shit. Like we're probably gonna
So
get.
do they win? Do they lose that match? Like
So this is, I think whoever win, I think. Oh man, I don't know. I think maybe WWE just takes the belt off Roman just so they don't get nuclear backlash. But I think that if it's me, you have Cody and Seth win their tag match against Rock and Roman, and then
Yeah.
you have Cody, Roman, and then you have Roman go over on Cody. And then you have
Yeah,
Rock get mad and challenge Roman, like you fucked up our tag match and you're fucking everything up. Like I'm good because like I don't know what The Rock was saying. Oh, long game, like I'm your long ball player. Like because
Yeah.
everyone was criticizing him. Oh, you're only not even gonna come in. And so he's insinuating like, no, I'm here now. We're going to do this for years. Like you're going to get me at the
Yeah.
next Mania, maybe the one after that, like that's what I feel he was kind of cockily saying in his own way, because now he's in it he's on the board. Like he has a vested interest, because before it wasn't like, oh, it's like,
it was
okay,
appearance based.
yeah, like it was appearance based and he can go do Hollywood and then that's more money and better for his livelihood and shit. Now what's better for his livelihood? Being on the TKO board. It's that, and they gave him the right to The Rock. They gave him his name back. Like he's now entrenched as like his mission isn't Hollywood. I said it before on the pod. He can just do the Adam Sandler deal, get $70 million a year to make 2 movies for Netflix a year that don't even go to the theater. And he can just do that now with the WWE.
Put all his friends
that door's
over,
open. Yeah, Endeavor, TKO, it's all worked out. Like his interest now is getting the UFL and Endeavor to thrive, or TKO group to thrive. That's his new goals right now. So to me, it's like he might be around for next Mania, and you guys might have fucked around and just made it so Roman retains on Cody again. But I always said he was
I hope so.
Gonna beat Cody twice.
Yeah, no, because my thing is like this. It's to the point now where it's like the story narrative is so like when I hear that, it makes me cringe. And I have no hate for Cody. Like I fuck with Cody, love Cody. But my thing was, it's just this finish. It's so much in our face and obvious that it's like it happening wouldn't hit the same as if it did last year.
Yeah, I just think people get fickle and tired of it too. They're gonna go, oh, Cody, oh, not gonna lie, Cody's run with the belt has been ass. Like that's what's gonna happen. Like 3 months after he wins the fucking belt, people are gonna be like, not gonna lie. So it's just fickle fans, and I just think like just chill. I always felt like Cody was losing at this Mania. I don't like how they just shoehorned The Rock in there. It clearly seemed like they had to pivot on the fly, and but then they swerved it in the right direction, and The Rock's doing the right thing while also taking all of the heat. He could have just played the baby face. If it was about his ego, he would have played the baby face, and he would have fucking been like, oh no, we're doing the right thing anyway. But no, he's doing the right thing by stepping back for Cody, and he's going to play the fucking heel, call you guys inbred assholes. Yeah.
Yeah, he's wanted to do that for the longest time. I've seen when we were in the building and he pulled up in the sleeveless Versace shirt.
Bro,
like,
you were there. Wait, so you were in Utah for this moment.
Yeah.
And you saw The Rock have shoot goosebumps for the heel heat the same way he would for the crowd cheering. And that's what people got to understand with pro wrestling. This shit ain't music. This shit don't need everybody cheering for your shit. This is like,
villains have the most fun.
Yeah, dude, when you're getting booed, it's almost it's maybe even a better feeling. It's like the dark side. So all I'm saying, man, is
you can tweet back. It's like tweeting back in the promo. It's just like, oh, the shit I can't say.
Yeah.
Oh, I can say it now.
Like he
I
went
see
on
you, my
Pat,
man.
yeah, he went on Pat McAfee and was like, basically like, get some bitches. You know what I mean? Stop crying, get some
Basically.
bitches. And then he's like, and that's the fun we can do in WWE. Like he said it right there. And so, you were there in Utah. You seen him come out in the $500 vest. Man, that moment. What was that? What did that hit like?
Oh, we knew it was. It's like you knew it was coming. It was like soon as Roman came out, and he's just with the acknowledge me. And here's the thing, like I mean, granted, there's a large Polynesian population, here in Utah, but that withstanding, we look out for our own. He was getting boos. It's like people cheer. Like when he said acknowledge me, it went crazy. There were more cheers than boos. And then when they remembered, oh wait, Cody, we're supposed to boo. Okay,
Yeah.
boo. And then got like people just watching the people get into it. Like my kids were getting so into it. It was fun as fuck. And then at that exact moment when it was like a cue. He looked over and it was like maybe 2 seconds before the Rock's music went off. Everybody was standing because we knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I'm like, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? But he's so enigmatic and people were so happy to see him. Especially you could tell what type of time he was on when he came out in the vest. It was like,
Yes.
oh, he's not playing.
Yeah.
And everybody stood up. And even then he's calling people your 50 wives and calling people inbreds and all this other stuff, which I took no offense to because I'm not from Utah. I just looked at
Yeah, dude. And like also he's just healing, bro. He don't really mean that shit.
Oh, it was so fun. And even afterwards, when people didn't see, it was like, okay, when it went off, when you could tell that it went off because they actually recorded some of the matches from this past Friday SmackDown.
Oh wow.
Like they did was it Drew and LA Knight? I'm trying to
Yeah.
remember. It was Drew and LA Knight. Yeah, love that shit. My kids love that. And then they did the match with the one that Bianca was sitting ringside for. I cannot remember off the top of my head right now. They did like 3 matches afterwards, but before they cut to that, The Rock was still at ringside, like shaking hands and taking pictures and signing autographs for like 5 minutes.
Damn.
Before they started pre-recording, and you could just tell, even in that moment, he was having the time of his fucking life. And afterwards, like when the cameras are off, it was like he just went back to just being Rock, and people like switched back and loved it. Everybody's asking for a picture. He was signing stuff. He like just spent genuine time with the crowd for like 5 minutes.
That's
He didn't
awesome.
talk anymore, but but he just walked around. It was lit. And you could just see like the power in that moment. I'm like, oh yeah, you have to do something with him. Like he's relishing in this and they're pivoting. But even still, it's like I kind of think it was for the best. Like the discourse that it kind of gave, and then like it broadened the storytelling because now it's like we don't know because we don't even think they know. It was less,
I know.
here's
It
the
makes it,
story.
yeah. But I think the bloodline story is important, and I know a lot of people are like, "Well, Cody's story, it's been in your face for 2 years," but Roman's stories carried the whole goddamn company for the last 4 or so years.
Exactly.
So like that to me too. What about his story? Like Cody was smashing. I tweeted it out. He's smashing Triple H thrones and having matches with the Young Bucks against the Dark Order. And while Roman Reigns was carrying this shit through leukemia, through the pandemic, through billions of dollars of deals, like you gotta fucking what
Gotta
about
bow
him?
down.
Yeah, and I like that that's becoming like a shoot, like what they're saying on TV and stuff, man. That's what I'm like, dude.
It's
Yes,
okay.
I'm
It's
marking out
great.
so
Now I'm
hard.
thinking that Roman's actually going to win. I was gonna ride till the wheels fell off and just he's probably going to lose, but I'm still picking him anyway. Now I'm starting to think like,
He
ooh,
could
the amount.
win, bro. He could pull
If
this
he
shit off
wins,
because then you have
we got to do an emergency pod if that's the case. Oh,
yeah,
that's going to
dude,
be fucking
absolutely. Yeah,
hilarious.
I want to do like live streaming like while I'm watching the fucking show. I can
Yeah.
just talk while so we're going to start going live and doing all of that, and you'll definitely
yeah.
be involved when I start doing that. I want it to
For sure, man.
yeah, well, whatever. We'll talk about it after. But Marty, man, thank you so much for like coming on, doing this, taking the time. Fucking Grammy Award winning motherfucker right here in the house, folks. And
Appreciate it, brother.
appreciate you, man. And we could just do this forever. Like, we
Of
definitely got to get on the pod again and talk some shit. And yeah, I just like
say when, man.
yeah, absolutely, man. I'll shoot you a message. And where can people check you out? At M_McFlyer, then you with a U.
Yes. Yes.
On Twitter/X. Where else do you want people to check you out, man?
I'm just on Instagram, Marty_McFlyers and you. That's just where I stay for now. I'm not on the TikToks or all the other stuff yet. on the gram, or you can just catch me on Twitter. I'm usually just there talking shit and then watching all the troglodytes get mad about stupid shit that they can't back up because, these companies are totally paying them and looking out for their family's well-beings.
Yeah.
Tony Khan is your friend in real life, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, shit, I'd be friends with him. I bet we'd have fun partying. I've said it a million times.
Oh, for sure. I'd kick it with him.
For sure, dude.
Wouldn't let him book my shows, but like for sure. I'd kick it with him. I've heard some stories.
And then 1/3 of the Sucio Boyz pod. And
yes, we drop that every Monday.
There you go.
Every Monday, it's on all DSPs, the places you get your pods, RSS feeds. It's just Sucio Boyz podcast. We on there, and we just talking a bunch of shit. Me and my co-hosts, they're crazy as shit.
Yeah.
So be warned. The trigger warnings for whatever. I'm the most behaved of the three. So.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No, you don't got to worry. The PWT listeners know what the fuck's up, man. I read all the Vince McMahon texts in his voice. Okay.
Oh, there
ain't no fucking triggering around here. Yeah, I'm gonna shit on your head. No, I'm not gonna get into it again. But you did that shit might have got me demonetized. I think my views have started going down since then. But yeah, man. Definitely. I want to thank you so much for joining me, and I have to thank while I'm thanking people, I got to thank the patrons: Reggie Rodriguez, Mark Hugh, the Mark Ashley V, Russ Paxson, Chris Killis, Cruz Madrid. Guys, patreon.com/prowrestletimes at prowrestletimes to check out all my shit. You know that at Pro Wrestle Clips, and Marty McFlyer than you will definitely be joining us on the live shows when those start coming like right away. He's here. Like I was hoping this week it's gonna be. I'm a busy motherfucker, but aren't we all? That's what life is.
Facts.
Yes, my friend. Thank you again so much for doing the show. And thanks everyone for listening. We love you so much. Phil Marks was here. I was out. I got to give us some yes. Oh, shit. I didn't know that one. Oh, shit.
Yeah. That's great.
Yo, thanks for rocking with us, man. Top pod out.